Hello, everybody. Welcome. What did you tell him?
No, I just looked at his back of his head and he's balding.
And he went, oh!
It's really bad.
To
I was gonna say, three old men on a desk. Come on, boys.
makes two of us balding, too. It's the Middle Eastern genes.
What is it for him?
I don't know, Nordic genes, I guess. They're bad, that's all I know.
I mean, I have too much hair and, like, everywhere else, but not here.
I don't even have that. I'm like hairless everywhere, and it's also disappearing up here. Like, I'm losing on every front.
We're here for a halftime show, guys.
Yeah,
Let's talk about
thank you. You're a great host, by the way. You've asked me questions in the past on the desk, but King Fabian, we're here, and of course Prince Pengu. We're gonna be chatting with the chat. Actually, since you guys are in the chat with us, I would ask you to subscribe to the channel here at twitch.tv/Rainbow6, because then you can ask all three of us. But let's be honest, you just want to ask Pengu questions, and Fabian also.
He's not even a 3-time.
Just a 2-time.
Hey,
Yeah.
look, if Canadian wins this, you are out of a job, my dude.
How am I using this?
You can no longer say, oh, I'm the only 3-time. Well, he'll be the only 3-time that actually
is,
won.
no matter how much Troy wins, I still have 3 Pro League titles. I have, well, we have 6.
Only 3? I have 4.
Yeah, but
That's
I have
year
3
one,
as
season
well. How
one,
many
baby.
do you have? Yeah.
I cashed you lifting it. That like half counts.
All right, I'll give you a third of an event.
I have his shirt from when he won Pro League in season 3, well, season 4.
Season 4, yeah.
Which is season 1 of 2017.
Yeah.
You took it off and you gave it to me, and then you stole somebody else's shirt for it. I still have it, and it's unwashed.
Oh god, that is
That is
terrible.
disgusting.
There's many years of sweat build up in there.
That is almost 7 years of, god damn, 7 years of it. All right, you know what? We got questions loading up here, so thank you very much for our staff here at Blast for helping us put all of this together. Put your questions, subscribe, and put them down in the chat. We got like 10 or so minutes to ask through it. Pengu, how did you get your start in Siege? I know you've never been asked this question.
Never. Okay, so I saw the trailer and I was like, that's cool. Played the beta in 2015 October. And I hated the game, so I uninstalled it. But my
Same.
friends were like, come back, please. And I tried it again, and now we're here.
All right, Fabian,
Yeah.
is Siege Pro Play as cutthroat as many people think it is in terms of roster selection?
I mean, yeah, now that the season is much shorter and we don't have as many games, you need to perform once you're on the stage. I think the biggest thing that Siege is now, I think it's a little bit more based on having the right relations with people, so
Yeah.
you get the opportunities to try on to be picked up. Back in the days, it was much more heavily statistically based, and I would say it was more cutthroat back then in a different way. So, yeah, I mean, it is very difficult. You won't stand a chance if you're not prepared.
Yeah.
Nick, how well did you play, in your opinion, the 1v2 clutch?
Who asked that
Thank you for the question,
Miloš?
Jack.
I
Who
don't
asked
know.
that?
I don't know.
Jack's alt account?
It's
Yeah.
over.
How well did you play it? Should you be peaking with a Habana and a 1v2 with a Bearing 9
And 3 flashbangs in pocket.
at long range?
No. But the thing is, like, when the adrenaline builds up like that, and I feel like I had to take control. I couldn't let the timer run out and be like, okay, what should I do? When should I? No, I gotta go right now. Like, Jesus, take the wheel type style, you know? And it was worth it because we won.
Personally, I think it's the greatest play in the history of the game.
Hey, what about
you
Mercenary
won.
Rifle?
Actually, no. The greatest play in the history of the game is the round before, where I clutched a 1.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's
I was
the
also alive. We were like 2v4, you know, I was there.
Yeah,
And I died.
it was
and
a
you
2 before, and then, yeah, C4 Canadian, that shitter.
This is the halftime show, so we're
We're allowed one
fine.
of those.
I'm not the boss here. Trust me, I never want to be the one. So let's go. What do we have after? Between Pengu and Fabian, which one of you is the best Nordic player?
I would say we're better in different ways, no?
Yeah, we have very different qualities, and I think we built each other. Without
Yeah.
each other on the server, we were basically freaking nothing.
Yeah, I could never lead the way Fabian led, for example.
Yeah.
Like, I needed him to do my job as good as I did.
Yeah, and then mid-round, I think Nick was much more impactful when it came to like the right positioning. So it's most of our, if we look back at the theory of how we played back in the days, it was a lot that Nick were in the kind of point of the map where everything would revolve around. So we forced players into where he was, and then he would just gun them down, and it worked.
Yeah.
I would say
Worked pretty well.
very well.
What do you think was the I guess, what is your favorite moments throughout all of your playing days? I'll go for Pengu first.
I think something like not in the server is like Fabian and I shared hotel rooms like our entire careers, talking strats, talking siege, talking life, and it was like on the road with my brother for many, many years. And then we also shared a bed multiple times. You know, and you later like cool, we have one bed. I guess we gotta live with this somehow, right? When I became a caster, I asked Parker, my duo, are we sharing a hotel room? Expecting the same thing as Fabian and I. He's like, no, we get our own rooms. What do you mean? But back then, we got only one room.
And for those who wonders, he was always the small spoon.
Okay, relax.
I need to just put it straight there.
Yeah.
What's wrong with being the small spoon?
Nothing.
It's just a fact.
Yeah.
See? Being a small spoon is really fun.
Yeah.
Anyways, Fabian, what is your favorite moment throughout?
Oh, I hated all of that stuff that Nick just said. No, but it's hard to look back at it because I don't know what my greatest memory is. I think overall it's just a big group of memories together, like the camaraderie that we had with the team. It's something that I miss every day. That's like you don't get that back. You don't have it anywhere else than inside the team. You don't have it as support staff. You don't have it on the outside. You don't have the same in talent. I think it's a feeling of belonging. That's what we value more so than the trophies.
You can snuggle up with me.
I'll skip out on that one.
That's not what you said.
Oh. Don't worry about it.
Oh, it's no leaks.
Next question.
Anyways, moving on. Who has the best beard in the competition?
Of all the players?
I mean, in general.
I mean, you're up there, but who does have the best beard in the competition?
I don't pay attention to such stuff.
No, who even has a beard these days? I don't even know. I'm gonna go with Milos.
Yeah, you do.
You win.
Yo, first time invitational winner. Let's go. I got one. That's it. So, Fabian, you've been a player, a coach, and on the desk.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest difficulties of transitioning between all three?
Desk work is the simplest by far. You just have the experience, you know what you're talking about, you understand how the teams think and all of that stuff. Coaching is mostly that coaches in esports do not have the same amount of influence or power as they do in real sports. Like the coach is more of a support staff to the players, like in the hierarchy underneath, which is something very strange, but it's just the way esports work. As a player, just everyday life, you sacrifice everything, and if you want to do that, that's up to you. Long term, I don't know if it's that smart of a choice, because if you don't succeed at the level that we have,
is it worth it then? You know?
Yeah, I don't think that it is. Like the level that you have to, amount of stuff you have to give up, and then maybe not even make it. Yeah, it's a tough time. You have to sacrifice everything.
Just a reminder for everybody at home: if you would like to ask any three of us a question, you can subscribe and then put it down in the chat. Of course, our staff here at Blast will be taking note of it and putting it in a document for me to take a look at and peruse every bit. So, moving on to you, Pengu, because you're someone that has had a bit longer of a player career than Fabian has had. Maybe
like a single season, but fair.
Yeah, but you played in Pro League a bit before him, right? He was
like 3 months.
Season.
He played with Phoenix and all.
Oh, that doesn't count. Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you mean it doesn't count?
He said it doesn't count.
I qualified to Pro League on Yacht.
The way that you say that map alone.
Are you
like,
proud?
Yeah. I dropped like 14 kills. It was a great
That's
game.
huge back then, by the way.
That was serious because you won at 5.
That was first to 5, yeah.
And I think we would have won like 5-2, so it's 2 kills around.
What was, in your mind, the healthiest Pro League meta?
Oh, so people are gonna say I'm biased with this, but I think 2018, 2019 were like, I say attack was like 3+2, where you had 3 attackers you had to bring, like a hot breach, a nade, or vertical play, but you had +2. You had so much creative freedom. You could play black, glass, Monty, whatever. I also feel like most pro teams had a distinct definition, like the slower teams like Supremacy, Vitality, aggressive like NIP. So that period.
Well, do you miss those Penta, G2 days, or in general, actually, Penta G2 EG days? Do you reminisce on those regularly, or?
Why do you think we're making a team when we're back home?
Yeah, we're coming back for it. Yeah,
have you not heard?
Yeah.
People think we're kidding whenever we put out these things.
We want to join a team as coaching
staff. You do it every
staff.
other week.
Or players.
No. So what me and Nick are doing is we're making a team when we're coming home that we're going to play the qualifiers with because we can. And therefore, we're going to have fun, and we're not playing it to win everything.
Are you going to be Wolves again?
It's not that hard.
Sorry.
Oof.
No, but it's that's what we miss with it, right? We miss that camaraderie and all of that work that we put in together. So that's why we're gonna have fun. We're gonna make a fun team. Like we're doing it because we enjoy the game and we love the game, not because we want to be a new professional or go back to professional play, but because we love it.
For our mostly controller-based players here, of course, on console, we asked them because actually this was a chat that was happening in the green room a few days ago. But do you think a controller player could ever go pro? pure controller or to swap, that's up to you.
I mean, we've seen a lot of current pro players came from console. Like even for example, in terms of talent, something like Laxing or Kids guys. The second they came from console to PC, they swapped to mouse and keyboard because you are inherently at a disadvantage, especially long term, if you don't learn mouse and keyboard. So could you compete with it? Yes. Could you be like the best player ever? No.
Fair enough. Fabian, what was one thing you wish you could have changed in the time you were playing professionally?
Should have kicked Pengu, I think, a bit earlier.
But now we're making what? I thought we were making a team.
What do you
now
mean?
We're kick me.
Didn't
What do you
you
mean
already
earlier?
leave? Didn't you leave?
He's got his memory still.
Wait. Let's get that memory working again. Didn't you go to Vitality and get benched?
Yeah, you know, French people, they work that way. They buy you.
Stab in the heart.
They buy you and then they put you on the bench.
Damn.
All I have to say is I had most entry duels on Ace and Cade.
So fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I shouldn't have that on Ace and Cade.
No. You were really good on Buck.
I actually had positive rating that stage, so
You weren't the problem.
yeah, I wasn't the problem.
Lift your hands up. So they're getting ready. We'll talk about that in a bit. What team has been showing the most improvement through the years to you, Nick? Especially ones that are here.
Ooh, I mean, oh boy, that's hard. I mean, I guess that's really hard. Because you can argue like w7m, they came out of nowhere, kind of like Empire back in the day. Now they're like everywhere, winning majors, you know, making finals, etc. You can talk about Sonics, but they have been like one good tournament, one bad tournament for like a long period of time. So they've always been good, but always like also gotten good, for example. I think APEC as a region has shown up pretty big these times, like making upsets happen, so they've done well.
One more reminder for everybody out there, if you'd like to ask any questions here on the desk, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and then put them down for our halftime show. We only have a few minutes left, so this is your shot. Go for it right now. Our next question. Fabian, you're a bit of a foodie.
I love food.
Okay. So what's your opinion on cabbages?
I think cabbages are actually amazing. Like, no matter what you do. Like, the best one, I don't know what you call it in English, spetskål. It's like a...
Oh, spetskål, yeah.
It's like a more sharp shape.
Yeah.
It's like
looks like an arrowhead.
Yeah, kinda. Put that, you cut it into 4 pieces. Some Parmesan, olive oil, and the lemon zest. Put that bad boy in the oven for a while. Mwah.
I did not see that one coming, I'll be honest. I had no idea that was coming.
man,
Guys, you're not cultured. That's
I gotta try that. I'll make that happen.
You saying that about me?
No,
Not?
him.
Okay,
me,
yeah,
of
fair enough.
course, Couldn't be you, Miloš. Couldn't be you.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I was about to take it personally, but anyways. Let's see, what do we have after? There's so many questions in here and I have to pick between them.
I'll have pick one.
Wasting valuable seconds.
That's true. 20 seconds on the clock.
What do you do?
Exactly. How's it possible to join a team if you're, a rookie and you want to just get on a pro team?
I think you gotta take like the bowl, ambi, whatever approach. Like you play ranked and high level, you play Go Forest, tier 2, tier 3. So to get your name out there, your name has to be in the hat to be picked out of that hat. So make yourself known.
I think you just need to DM them and say, hey, I want to play pro. You need to have no
reason.
experience. you don't tell them who you are, what you've done before. You just straight go up from casual game, maybe it's like quick match, and then straight into pro play. Or you do it realistically and you start at the bottom of the ladder and you start playing with your friends.
Yeah.
From there, you start playing smaller tournaments, like the every weekly tournament on Sundays, and then you play against other teams in practice. When you see that someone's better, well, try to get above them with your team, and when you feel you can't get above them, then it's maybe a bit time for you to change.
Yeah, Fox is signaling that we need to wrap this up because we all know Fox is the person running the production in the back. So, Pengu, Fabian, thank you very much. So it was a lot of fun. Thank you for everybody that subscribed over at home. We'll have more stuff to go as the tournament continues. Speaking of which, we got games coming up in just a moment.
I'm Filipox, I'm from w7m, and I play Flex, and I'm IGL for the team. I think we did good in group stage. We lost only one game, and I think it was good for us to lose. And I think now we are more humble, to put it that way. I think we are ready. I think we have a lot of confidence in the team. We know how to play in the finals. We have the experience, and we will get there. I don't think there's a specific team that I want to play. Any team that we are going to face are good right now because we are in the Six Invitational playoffs. In the group stage, we were trolling and throwing some rounds and saving some strats. But now in the playoffs, all of you should be afraid because we are coming for you.
Welcome back to the sprawling city of Sao Paulo, one of the most lively and vibrant cities on Earth, which right now is home to the Hammer. The final best of three here in the playoffs is upon us, and it is a big one as we set all eyes to the main stage and who will make it there. My name's Ian Chambers, joined on the desk by two men I was really excited to be alongside until they rocked up this morning. Miles better dressed than me. Guys, you didn't tell me that you were going to come, like, you're going to a wedding. What's going on?
Sorry, it's the French style, you know. I'm the Frenchie, I've got to dress well. It's part of the character, right?
Exactly, and I'm from Montreal, so it's like a little bit French. So
yeah, it's Canada, it's a little bit
we
French.
have to.
Well, of course, you know who these guys are. Former professionals, turn analysts. We've got Fox and Alfama here to talk you through all of the action. Can't wait. Very glad to have you both here. And it's a big one. W7M versus SSG. Two teams who deserve to be on that main stage, but only one will make it under the bright lights. The history, when it comes to these guys coming up against each other, Leo, is very much in W7M's favor.
Yeah, look at this graphic. I mean, W7M beat them 5 times in a row in the last matchups. Obviously, the SSG roster has changed a little bit, but historically, they were not even close to winning them, to beating them. Only 3 rounds, I think, maximum they were able to win against them. I think this time, it's a very different story, right?
Why is it a different story? What do we think?
I think when it comes to W7M, this is the first time that they're regarded the favorite for the whole tournament, that they have to make it. They have to win to get that trifecta of tournaments. And unfortunately, the stacks just don't really end up in their favor.
I think, literally, if you look at all the teams here, all the teams in Six Invitational, I think the team that has the most pressure to perform right now is W7M. After the 2 consecutive major wins, and such in a dominant fashion as well, 3-0, 3-1. Six Invitational is their home country, right? In Brazil, they want to play against the home crowd. And this is the matchup that defines if they will be able to play against them or not. It's huge for them, and the amount of pressure must be tremendous.
The country pride and everything that goes into it. Fox, if this was you in America, right, you're going to want to be there. You want to be on the main stage in front of your fans.
Of course you'd want to be there, and I think that adds a little bit of that extra pressure that Leo was touching on. Even in the early pregame show that Felipox was talking about, how they trolled in the group stages, how they threw. They came in with that confidence, that bravado, and it kind of took a little bit of a hit. And in my opinion, I think that hit has carried through the rest of this tournament.
I 100% agree on that. I think they have shown so many cracks right now compared to what they were. You know, I told you they were so dominant when they were winning these majors. And I think so far, what they've shown is they're taking isolated gunfights, playing super aggressively, but they're losing them. That's new. They were not losing gunfights before. And the thing is, when they lose gunfights being isolated, they're not getting traded. So that's another thing, right? They're already spread around the map, and when Wolves beat them, it's because they grouped up, targeted one area, and isolated that one player and won the round of that. And then the third thing is, and I think this comes down to confidence, is I think they're lacking the confidence now. It's a negative spiral. They're losing and losing and losing more confidence.
They were so used to the success. They've taken a knock, and it's caused a bit of a drip down effect, hasn't it?
Exactly, and I think one round that is the perfect example of that is yesterday. You saw JV attack on Amaru on Cafe top floor with the diffuser. He rappels in cocktail, and with the diffuser goes into white stairs in front of all the defenders and loses the diffuser there. That was so weird. Poor decision making.
Well, let's move on to SSG, their opponents, who are also looking very strong now coming into this one. SSG's first loss at the start of this process at the groups, Fox, was to Wolves, but in theory, that's a negative, but it did bring some positives too, right?
it brought a good amount of positives because it set SSG's expectations very low. A lot of people regarded them as one of the lower teams coming out of NA. They obviously didn't make any changes like the 3 other North American teams. But so far, when it comes to adaptation and the way that they've been playing, it looks like they have a really good matchup against w7m's spread out, hold as much as you can playstyle, because SSG loves that. They love to be able to exploit these little intricacies and these little holes that w7m will allow them to exploit.
And I cannot disagree with the fact that their expectations are low. I think they're actually expected to be right where they're at right now. I think they expect to be on main stage, because on a good day, SSG can beat any team. And one example of that is, if you look at the best looking team right now at SI, I would say it's FaZe. And they beat FaZe in group stage. On a good day, the whole game plan of SSG is preparation, right? And I think that w7m has shown so many cracks to exploit, and I think that's exactly what is playing right now for SSG. I think they saw all these cracks, and they prepped to counter that.
You know what? It's our first desk. We've already had a disagreement. That's what I like to see. Let's get into map picks and bans going into this pivotal best of 3. The bans are going down like this: Border, Bank, Oregon, and Consulate. And Fox, talk us through the picks here.
The picks make a lot of sense when you're on the side of w7m because they like to be comfortable. They don't really look at many teams on their respective maps. They like to make sure that they're good first. And so going with a map like Clubhouse is a very confident map for them. Obviously, it's a very confident map for SSG, but w7m isn't necessarily looking at that. Whereas Cafe, on the other side of things, SSG aren't too strong at Cafe. They have been showing it a lot at this event. They haven't necessarily been winning it all the time, but it goes to show that they pretty much go off of the information that the other team gives them. And Leo, I think we both looked on the last map that w7m played against NIP, and what did you think about that game?
Well, the thing is, when you look at it, it really feels like it's a big curveball, because, like you said, like Cafe is super defender sided. When you pick it, you know you're going to start in attack. On top of that, it's not necessarily the best looking win rate map for SSG right now, whereas for w7m, it's a really important and good map for them, right? So we're like, why did they pick Cafe against w7m? I think they're coming to it with a really prepared game plan. They have had 15 rounds to analyze from yesterday again versus NIP, and I think that's exactly what SSG has been doing. They've been preparing counter-strat on it, and this is why they threw that curveball.
Super short, Snappy, who's taking it? Map 1.
I think SSG has to take it map 1.
I agree with him.
All right, it is ready. We are going to it now with the legends, Parker and Pengu, calling this one.
Thank you so much. You all look excellent, by the way, as does our special guest.
Jackie Boy.
The second time in the last 2 events that we have been joined by none other than Jackie Boy Fresh. Alan, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me back. After Atlanta, we cast w7m as elimination, not w7m, M8's elimination game in Atlanta.
Well, now we have both of these teams fighting for their proverbial lives, but their lives in the event. You are usually an analyst, Jack.
Yes.
So I have to ask you the question. Do you think it'll be SSG or do you think it'll be w7m?
I think, I'm with the 2 NAL casters, aren't I? I think it will be w7m. I mean, they're the favourites coming into the tournament, right? If you'd have been on the balance of things before the tournament, everyone was saying w7m is their tournament, 3 in a row, Dynasty, all that stuff. But, you know, they have showed that they're human.
Yeah. I mean, I'll make a counter argument and say if the SSG that played against FaZe earlier this event show up today, I fear for w7m. I don't want them to lose, but SSG against FaZe was on another level when they were pushing together, the crossfires, and on attack, understanding the timings of when one guy gets into combat, everyone is there to follow as well.
We talked about this in the green room briefly before we got into this matchup, and we said there's a very real possibility that w7m end up going home. Both of these teams are a single victory away from competing on the main stage on Friday. w7m have won it all this year, except for the Hammer. And I think a lot of teams will be happy with winning majors, but Nick, as you can speak from experience, the Hammer is ultimately why most of these teams play this game. And w7m, having won Copenhagen, having won Atlanta, having come so close to winning the Hammer in Montreal, to not even make it to the main stage in their home country would be considered an abject failure for this squad. But SSG has shown moments of brilliance. This organization has lifted the Hammer before. This is a world championship organization, even if the composition of the team looks a little different. W7M will start off on attack. Spacestation on Clubhouse will go onto Laundry Supply down below, the most played bomb site on this map.
Jack, when we saw w7m throughout this entire calendar year, I feel like we all said they don't have any clear weaknesses. They have no gaps where we're thinking, okay, a team could exploit this, take advantage, and like win maps or win games against them. Do you feel like that's changed throughout this event because it hasn't been the same dominant performance as previously?
I think there's a couple of factors there. I think with this event particularly, obviously you've got the best teams across the world across the year.
Yeah.
So they've played more high quality opposition in more best of threes. Remember, a lot of the major runs are best of ones through the play-ins and obviously through the Swiss, if you get there. And the second event is obviously, they will be leaving the organization. There has been a little bit of turmoil that, as much as it doesn't necessarily, you don't intend it affecting you at all, it can affect you just in your kind of subconscious, I guess. And it might well have distracted their preparations coming into this event.
No, I think it's a fair point. I mean, I know as a former player as well, like when there's stuff in your private life going on that you want to ignore while you're at this event because this matters right now so much more, you can't just shut your brain off and not think about those things and worry about what does the future look like for me or my teammates, etc. W7M, they've had an okay tournament, but not to the level that we expect. And Forrest, look at the opening kill against KZ to start things off. That's Grim now in the grave.
And that's the man who just a couple days ago set a new LAN best of 3 record, 4 kills, breaking Nesk's contribution before with 50 kills. Now the thing is, Nesk at the time obviously having 49. W7M lost that match. They lost it against Wolves. They need to make up for time here, and ultimately, it might not be KZ who's being a factor, but you've got a good supporting cast for W7M. They've already got 3 picks against SSG, well over half the round to go. J90 in a desperate attempt. Swings, he's got the most kills on Space Station. It's all up to Forrest now to hold off the Horde, so to speak, as there's 3 players for W7M. They've got half of the round to go to crack open this bottom floor bomb site.
Well, now, what do you do, right? You're Forrest, you gotta swing out, C4 in hand, but you got 1 HP left, so all W7M gotta do, wait, stall for time. You got 1 minute and 20 seconds. You know Forrest is gonna be feeling the pressure, running around, looking for something to happen, and if you are a back-to-back major team, you don't throw buddies at the problem, you will drone him out, make his adrenaline go away by stalling for 20, 30 seconds, and then going for the push. C4 goes out, it does a fair bit of damage, but Philippox, he stays alive.
Forrest has been trying to find a 1v1 engagement, and like you say, W7M, they've not been giving them to him at all, working out where he is and then planning their execute into sight.
Well, that's Forrest inside of blue. A team like W7M doesn't usually give 1v1s, but when Philippox is looking the wrong way, it's easy for Forrest to hit the deck. Problem is, he now needs to get over to Church, and he doesn't have very much HP. Only 8 bullets left in this JV92 to deny more than 3 kills to go Forrest's way. Right now, in terms of play, it's KZ and Herds as the top 2 performers on this W7M roster, but JV92, despite having a bit of a slow tournament, is always an offensive threat.
And that's the beauty of W7M, right? It's like they get their strategy right, and then they've got the top players. Obviously, KZ came up with the kill record. Herds we talk about a lot. Herds actually got a huge 3K inside of that round, and when one isn't firing, the other tends to be. If neither of them do, then JV can be the one that kind of steps up there as well. I thought for W7M, it was a very, very good read into the round. They obviously were trying to clear out from the top floor, but they were baiting out the aggression. As soon as Herds had found that double kill, they knew that SSG were going to come back at them and try to get 1 pick back, because if SSG just retreated back down to site with like, what, 2 minutes left, they were not going to win the round. So SSG had to get aggressive, and W7M had a great read into that.
It's funny because when SSG played Bleed in their first game here in Phase 2, they did the same thing where they're expecting Bleed to aggress into them, holding window jump out, shutting down rotations, etc. So I'm very positive both SSG and W7M have been studying each other here on Clubhouse and coming up with a counter strategy methods where, okay, when they go aggressive, we gotta play passive and vice versa. Likewise, I also expect a lot of different flex operators with attack and defense in both teams. Already now, we see a switch up. Now a more util-oriented CC Hoff and SSG, right? They got the Bandit, they got the Asami, they're playing Wall Deny with the Mute as well, forcing out an EMP economy style. Whereas W7M, well, they got a Maro Jack, they can go really fast.
One interesting thing about this team is obviously W7M has played a lot of maps because of the run that they have been on, and they've played more maps than a lot of their contemporaries. 18 maps played up to this point. Heading into today, that means before the Sonics phase match and before the DZ VP match, which is still going on the other stream, by the way. The most kills in the tournament was Mowgli at 193. KZ was right behind at 192. Herds was right behind at 190. Then it goes Brendo, then it goes JV92. So 3 of the W7M players were in the top 5 in terms of kills. Now, obviously those numbers don't stand anymore because you've had FaZe players, you've had Dark Zero players getting more kills for all the maps they've played, but that is really quite impressive. And even though JV92 hasn't been as good as usual, you've relied on the rest of the team. The supporting cast is there. KZ credited with that kill, even though Philippox looked like he was able to get it. Opening pick breaks in favor of W7M, that's half the round gone.
It's very clean. And I mean, again, SSG, they're on the back foot here. No trades, nothing coming through. Everybody isolated and singled out. It's a hard round for them, but Ashen strikes back.
Fultz fighting his way through Logi, but it's Philippox to punish him. Ashen and Hot and Cold, last 2 defenders, standing in the way of W7M going up 2-0 on attack on Clubhouse. Now this is their map, so they should do well on both sides, but Ashen will attempt to keep numbers close, as now W7M have 3 to SSG's 2.
Yeah, W7M will be waiting to bait out the aggression. Herds is actually on a rotate down through lounge. He's going to come up red stairs, and that's when you would expect the 3-2-1 to happen, as KZ actually just finds both, finishes the round for W7M.
Damn. I mean, if you're Ashen, you're doing okay, right? You're aggressing out, finding some success in that round, but the rest of the team, especially the man right here, J9O, he is the quote-unquote star performer. He's up there in the clutches on the top 5 category and stepping up time and time again, not yet to be activated here in the first game. And the difficult thing about playing a LAN, playing best of 3s, playing all these rounds in different teams, you have to constantly deal with a different approach from your opponent.
Yeah.
There has to be a limit to any player's skill level as to how many different methods you can do well against.
One of the things that we've talked about a lot actually across this tournament is how the top teams can change their approach and change their pace, particularly within a round. So, what a shot by KZ, by the way, as we saw that replay. When that happened, when that entry kill happened, what you saw is SSG's reaction to try and get one back, focusing really, really hard on that trade game. And that's where W7M were slowing the pace back down, expecting that aggression. That's 2 rounds in a row now they've punished it. I think for SSG, they need to read into that a little bit, that this constant aggression they're trying to provide back is being punished, and find a way not to give the entry kill or to find those kills back on the trades.
We referenced this in the match that just happened, because it also went to Clubhouse between FaZe and SQ, but 60% overall win rate for the defenders on Clubhouse. Every single bomb site on this map tilts in favor of the defenders, and yet W7M have made it look like that is not the case.
Yep, that's what good teams can do. I also think, despite, so when W7M banned Monty, SSG were talking in chat, we're not gonna play it anyway, you made a bad ban, yada yada yada. But to Jack's point, if SSG want to slow things down and stuff when they go on attack and whatnot, they can't because Monty's banned. And on defense, yeah, you could maybe play Clash, not all that common. Forest finds the opening kill. That surely will slow down W7M because they only have one member less down this round, and it's the IQ who's going to scout for those C4s.
And look at the trigger reactions from all of the players on SSG. In the previous round that they defended Church, they lost the kill and had to get aggressive.
Yeah.
This time they've got the kill and they've gone back down to site. They know that the win condition is the fact they can play now 5v4s on sites, and W7M will still waste that time droning out, clearing the top floor, clearing the mid floor, right? Nade's still in spawn droning. So SSG, great start to this round because they've achieved that opening kill. The win condition is obviously now very much in their favor.
Yeah, the thing is, only one C4 in pocket and no smoke. I always get a little bit antsy, okay, do they have enough utility for when that execute comes through, right? They can only deny the plant with a single C4 from Ashen, assuming he doesn't use it earlier before that happens. W7M, they have Capital and Grim on the board, Jack. I feel like, yeah, falling back is smart, you stay alive, but I don't know if the Let's get the door broken down, boys, together. It goes fast.
Teamwork.
Yeah, it really is. But I do wonder if SSG, they have enough to actually allow themselves to fall back because they invested so much on the roam.
Well, you've got all of the utility from KZ's gadget. He can hop on drones and has one of those can openers in back pocket. State of things for SSG, as you all mentioned, is they get back to the bomb site and they just sit and wait. On Clubhouse, against a team that isn't roaming, it's not unusual to take a minute to a minute and a half just to drone it out.
Yeah.
And then you need to get in towards this bomb site. As you pointed out, Nade was still sitting inside a spawn. Yep. You've got a Capital, you've got a Grim. There's lots of denial here from W7M to flush these players out of the spots. JV92 is going to drop, but it's Fultz to deftly handle that. He can also now look towards main stairs, as Moto is very firmly out of order for this W7M team.
They're fighting for this. Folt swinging out. He knows in a bad position, but again, if you swing out, might do some damage, might get a kill, but you gotta stay alive.
Foltz is still persevering. Kiba barriers on 2 separate doorways. That open panel in the middle will do him some good if he wants to fire back. Philippox dies at the hands of Hot and Cold, and SSG have learned from their mistakes back in round number 1 and are riding it out to what looks like a successful round. Nade will toy with Foltz, who's playing this shrewd angle. Hot and Cold another, and it's a flawless round for Spacestation to get themselves on the board.
It's good stuff, no? I mean, I said, I don't know if they have the right tools for it. I expected W7M to go for a good old kitchen-style head drop, you know, bees go out, fire smokers, etc. Maybe get a post-plant. But no, like straight down Moto, gone 6 to cast a barricade, try and take the engagement, and they actually miscalculated the pre-fire angle onto Foltz, and it cost them.
Yeah, it absolutely cost them. I think, obviously, Azami being so impactful in that round. You know, we saw it was Foltz playing on the Azami. After he got the kill back into Moto, closing it back up, as you see here. And this is one of the things that I wanted to talk about, actually, with the bans. So 2-Bro has been banned away by W7M, which I think is actually a great ban on Clubhouse specifically, because it enables you to open the walls so much easier on a map that is slow. Obviously, when you ban away the 2-Bro, and SSG have banned away the Fenrir, that leaves Azami open, and Azami can be, you know, just devastating in that late round. So and I think that's why SSG has so much confidence to retreat at that point. They had the castles, they had the mirror, they had the Azami. It was actually just a utility maze and hellhole for W7M to try and work through, and, you know, obviously they gone 6 the castle, died, and then an Azami Keeper Barrier closes it back up again, so.
No, you're right, and I said this earlier, but like, only a couple years ago, if you're a pro player, there are very few things to like keep track of and keep in mind in these attacking rounds compared to now. Whereas like you're a player, you gotta deal with so many things. Whereas like you cannot prepare for every scenario. Like look at this round. You gotta worry about Asami, Mira, Kaid, Caster, Omai. That's like 5 different kinds of tools. And on attack, you wanna try and pick up as much as possible, right? So you get IQ that can see the Kite Claw, for example. Okay, Thatcher counters with Kaid, but now you have no way to deal with the mirror windows, for example. So there's always something that you're gonna be weak against on the attacking side, most likely, because you also need a hard breach, which you just natively need to bring every single round to breach open walls. So you do your best, you bring as much as possible, utilize those drones in the drone phase, and then you attack a repick into the best case scenario for what you want.
Nice start by W7M here. They're choosing to get both the east side and the west side Jacuzzi breach off at exactly the same time, pretty early into the round. This puts SSG under a lot of pressure. Have they achieved the breach? Yes, they have. That puts SSG under a lot of pressure because they have very minimal room now to work with.
I like that you referenced IQ because, Nick, you and I have been seeing a lot of her play, especially on this map. IQ's pick rate heading into today was 9th most picked attacker, which I feel like we haven't seen this much IQ in years. And of course, a big part of IQ is reactionary. If your opponents are bringing a lot of operators that don't have a ton of value, you might bring her for the gun, but then you can also bring Grim, who has that same commando. So IQ will pay off if your opponents have a very electronic gadget-heavy lineup, which, as you can see from the left-hand side, SSG doesn't necessarily, but you're going to get good value from that gadget with the operators that are on the board.
One of the things that I love here is how SSG have reinforced off construction. You can see it here, causing problems for W7M. SSG are now really laying into the utility aspects, and a very nice and unique C4, I think, prepped by J9 here. Might be able to find some success even when this breach goes off.
He tosses it out, threading that needle, but does nothing, as it either gets shot or if it blows up, it doesn't net much at all. The only damage that's been done so far in this lobby, other than Nade taking what I imagine is a tiny bit of damage from the Electric Claw, is KZ, who maybe also took that damage from the Electric Claw. No teams coming to blows yet in the final 45 seconds.
But it's about the layers here for SSG. They're burning so much utility step by step, and time as well step by step. And now W7M, they're close to the side, but not close to win the round.
There's a hop out. Philippox dies. JV92 answers back. Impacts from Foltz going towards the door, and almost a 1D gone to this position, as now it's JV92's opportunity to pull out the sidearm. All of his teammates are down for the count. Nade and Herds may be retrievable, but they're both bleeding out. So JV92 on a fraction of HP, heading over towards Logi, but it's a really nice angle held by Ashen, and SSG tie the game.
some things never change, right? SSG, even going back to like 2020 when Troy was there, they're a structured team. They're like an onion, right? They have layers. It's all about the strategical setup and creating a maze that's difficult to navigate for the attack inside. No matter the roster, I've always found SSG to be that kind of team, and in that round, it really showed through.
I was just about to say, I think I'm in 2020 again with the operator lineups, and just the fact that they're playing for so much utility. I thought, you know, they've clearly realized what they perceive W7M's weakness to be.
Exactly.
You know, they had the first 2 rounds where W7M were very good at clearing the people without the utility. So SSG are like, right, let's sit back, let's...
Defender exposed.
He got all the way out of it.
Oh, that's how he got the kill?
Wow, he got 2.
Both? No.
Wow.
Oh, the injury, yeah.
I mean, there were 2 injuries, right? And at this state in the round, you're going to benefit from a DBNO, even if they're not actually dead.
Ah, that's criminal from Hot and Cold.
He actually typed in chat, guys, I was detected, shoot me.
I mean, I actually wrote in my notes that I want to see a bit more from Hot and Cold, so like in this series, because throughout this tournament, statistically, he's been a bit underwhelming, but also we have to recognize the role and the job in SSG for him is this kind of unknown entity, the flex operator. On attack, he still plays Nuke, for example, every now and again, which he used to play back when Nuke was a present in the meta for the nade chains, etc. And on defense, he'll kind of flex around. He'd be your +1 person, like here, +1, around the wall, but gets shut down because he whips the bullets. Felipox reacts, but taking down Capitao there would have been massive for SSG.
You know how I just said SSG are leaning into not trying to take gunfights and trying to play behind utility? What do they do? Good idea, actually, in all honesty.
I was gonna say,
It was a good idea. Had he have got it, it would have been amazing, but obviously missed his shots, and now they've got to play a 4v5. The consequence of that, actually, is that SSG at some point do have to try and get aggressive again to try and level up that man advantage. Doesn't have to be right now, but it has to be quite considered when they do it.
It's one of those rounds where high risk and high reward, but looking at how it played out, Philippos was not even looking in the right direction. That was a great play from Hot and Cold, but he did whiff a couple of shots. But you're right now, you lose the magnet, you lose the cover, and you also lose the manpower. And it's why Force, like you said, looking to aggress, even back those numbers. If not, you're gonna get grilled on the rafters by Philippos, Capitao, and the Fire later in this round, because W7M, they're not looking at Master Bedroom, they're looking at Lounge, and they're looking at Garage.
Almost the halfway point of this round, and SSG defending pretty well inside the site despite being down in terms of numbers. JV92 taking more damage than I think he expected from inside a garage, but guess what? Now you've got an idea as to where a defender might lay. Should you be worried about those drones? The thing with W7M is they've actually been quite good at ensuring their drones aren't dying early on. 3 drones remaining, and oh my. Felipox walks in, Ashen gets annihilated, and now it's all up to the anchor play of J90 and Fultz. J90 has been the best performing player on Spacestation, but it's been a rough start for him. Still without a kill, as now he dies down in Lounge to Herds. And unless Hunt can do anything, it'll be a flawless round for W7M. Hunt dies. Herds walks up red stairs. Hunt knew, but just because you know doesn't mean you can do.
A little bit there. Now, if you look at that catwalk hold, Jack, are you thinking, okay, it made sense they aggressed because they lost the player early, or do you feel like they overstepped the line?
I think Forrest overstepped the line. I think we didn't see it necessarily on camera, but Forrest got caught out by KZ, who was just hanging on the breach, just holding an angle. When there's so much utility, that's when Forrest can obviously step up and help out the Izami on the catwalk. We might get to see it here.
Yeah,
Maybe
right
it was
there.
just a lovely shot. He's exposed himself to the garage window.
Yeah.
That then triggered the reaction for the Izami to try and walk down and get the kill. And it's the kind of snowball effect from there down into a 2v5. Yeah, it was a bit tricky on that one. The fact they were already in a 4v5 obviously didn't help. I think for W7M though, like that's 2 attacks on CCTV where they've done 2 different approaches. First time they went over from the master side as one and basically ran through SSG. This time they went for the garage and the breach and the catwalk with somebody trying to walk up red stairs. 2 different approaches, both of them worked perfectly.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point that you said, because that snowball effect, it's so vital to know, because you might be sitting here watching home saying, why did Asami swing down the staircase when you got keeper barriers and stuff? Well, it's because when Forrest dies, like you said, the cover is blown, the link in the middle is broken, you are as good as dead, so you have to keep in mind that one person's reaction can be based off another person's fault, or of course sometimes a good play from your opponent. It's not because he's a bad player or anything like that, he just kind of had no choice.
Third time defending this bottom floor bomb site now for Space Station. This will be their final kick at the can. This bottom floor bomb site, it's been played 101 times prior to this match beginning, and it has been won by the defense. 56 or 58 times. So not exactly so decisive for the defenders. It actually is the least defender-sided of all of the bomb sites on this map. Obviously, the one caveat here is bar stage has only been played twice, so you can't really go off of that. But this gives the best window for W7M to go up 4-2, and they start off with 2 big kills. Herds walking in through Jacuzzi, absolutely dominating Ashen, fighting upstairs in cash. Good for 1 pick on the KZ before JV92 equalizes. And the advantage favoring W7M is they double up in numbers over Space Station.
This is more like prime W7M, where when somebody dies, someone is always there to trade them out shortly after. That's how they won back-to-back majors. They didn't look like that earlier at this Invitationals, but here against SSG, they are looking more like their old selves.
Forest is now going to try and win a 1v3. It's going to be very difficult against Herds. Does manage to find 1. And now he has to isolate those 1v1s. Finds another one. Only JV left. JV's coming down blue. Will finish it off. So close for Forest.
Forest was in that exact same predicament back in round number 1 on the Mira, if you recall. He got the 3K, tried to push into church, and got gunned down. This time, a little bit more winnable. I think that's because Space Station were able to hold that middle floor for far longer. You invested quite heavily on the top floor. 45 seconds go before you first see that bit of action. It was Ashen that was playing upstairs. And then if memory serves me correctly, it was Hot and Cold playing on that main floor before W7M struck back after his quick kill. And this is something that always comes up with this W7M team. When they look unbeatable, it's because of the counterplay that they have. Yes?
Damn.
You might get an early pick against them, but they almost always attack in lockstep. Nick, it is something that Kix and I talked about when we casted you way back, was that G2 at their prime were so proficient at immediately trading out a death, which is exhausting for teams. You are never given breathing room. You get a pick, it's punished right away. You can never seemingly outrun and escape your opponent. And when W7 does that, it's smothering. SSG is dealing with it right now. W7M win 4 attacks on Clubhouse, which is a great way to start this map.
Yeah, the way that I see Siege as an individual, it's always been about the numbers, right? There's like, every gunfight has like a percentage in your favor. You know, there was a 50-50 gunfight, so it's even, you know, nobody's like clearly favored here. I view every decision with a risk and a reward. And yeah, when you play against a team like W7M that always trade you back, it never seems like an honest advantage or a 50-50, because you're always losing out somewhere. That's a nice angle from Ashen. Pops the hatch, sees over the railing or the bar desk, and will take some damage off KC. Not ultimately a factor, but still have this health.
So comparing and contrasting basement defenses, because we just saw SSGs where they all died on the top floor. W7M already on the basement, as J9 will find the first kill on Herds, but already on the basement, they're choosing to lean into that utility. The Azami, the Mira, the Wamai, who is obviously now off the board, but that's what they're trying to play into, and the late round is what they're going for.
If you're going for late round here, well, it's looking good for one team and not so good for the other. Losing magnets early, but still I would say 2 C4s could make a big change here for W7M, because you can find a kill or 2 that will sway the numbers to your advantage.
I really like the gadgetry that's being brought from Space Station. The Grim, the Capital, and the Flores all together. And you can really use these operators in different ways. Yes, Flores is almost always going to be used to destroy gadgetry from the defenders. But a side effect of this Rotero drones is they can be used to flush you out of a commonly held position. Think back behind boxes. Think back in church behind bar. You're going to be holding these sheltered positions, and a Rotero drone is going to make you have to move from that spot. If SSG can be well practiced around those drones, they can easily follow up on that with a kill.
We see W7M, they're running across the bomb side, looking through the vertical holes, looking for angles again. Same like SSG, they want to get back that 4v4 numbers equalization. They get it, the shutdown third, Hot and Cold, way too early in the round here. His team was not ready, and it buys the defenders a lot of space.
KZ reduced to a single point of HP. It's a damning spot to be in. It's JV92 as a premonition. The one's pushing through dirt. He's correct. Goodbye, Forest. Forest tasting a bit of his own medicine. 45 seconds left. And the remaining SSG players will now need to drop through hatches. It's a precarious position to be in. Ashen dies. Fult's now watching the hatch inside of Kitchen. J90 was watching the hatch inside of Stock. Where do you go? Now over to the Moto hatch. This is the troubling position that you find yourself in if you're SSG. You have to drop. You are so vulnerable in these spots. W7M have a long line of sight on the J90, who's picked up a kill, but is well below what we expect of him. Now towards hallway, he gets ganged up on, bullied, and it's Philippe Pox to swing into blue to give W7M a successful round on defense.
What makes the best teams in my mind is the teams that can play the game. Obviously, they're in first person, but they can see the game in third person. So you noted it in the round there, Nick, is that Houghton went early and he got killed. What JV realized then is if we've killed Houghton, somebody else has got to rotate out to dirt. What did JV do? He just made a play that they were not expecting, walked his way all the way up there, found another kill. And that was taking a 4v5 into a 4v3 that sets themselves up for when the execute comes in, they've got the numbers advantage.
I'll piggyback off that because it was KC who got the kill to the third player who's now 1 HP, but it's JV with full health that takes third control, and that just proves the point that, yeah, they got the overview. Not only do they recognize that there's a gap somewhere, they sent the right player.
So
if you
smart.
send KC with 1 HP, he's not gonna hold third, he's gonna die. So small decisions there, but it shows the depth of which w7m are playing Siege right now.
And SSG aren't actually playing that badly. I know they're 2-5 down, but it's just the absolute minute things like that that is causing the round, the pendulum of the round to swing in the favor of W7M.
10 seconds.
So Jack, you're not a player, but you do play the game quite a bit. So you've been in, like, you know, tournaments, right, etc. If you're SSG right now, do you feel like there's a way that you would want to play this out? Do you want to go super fast, catch them by surprise, slow things down? What do you feel like they should change if that was you?
It's rough, actually, because, like I said, they didn't play that round badly. It was just Houghton making a micro decision that caused the knock-on effect of that. So I think at the minute, even though you're 5-2 down, you probably just trust your process a little bit and just trust that individual players won't make those mistakes time and time again.
Okay, well, I like that. And I also agree with it because, as you said, no big faults there, small things. And w7m, they're in a similar position where, yeah, things are working for them. Why should we change anything around, right? So it is considering down to SSG to change things here. They can keep it the same, but the outcome, the result has to change. They gotta find this round victory on the attack. Otherwise, very quickly, this will slip away from them.
So, still in the discovery phase this round for Space Station. They've only lost 2 drones. They haven't used much of their utility. All of their players still alive. No early action to characterize this assault from SSG. W7M right now holding this gym bedroom bomb site. They seem to be relatively confined around this site. There's not a huge roam presence at the moment, so SSG can get map control, gain visibility on where these defenders are, and really not risk an early fight.
The key thing for me here, I think, will be the fight over construction. You can see KZ, he's playing as Wamai, behind a shielding construction with this construction wall reinforced, and has the keeper barriers to protect him. This is awful, as he's going to impact the breach, for SSG to try and attack into, because there is just so much utility.
Util game, util game, util game. Attackers, again, problem solving mentally every single round, every inch of the map is very draining on your players, especially in a best of 3 or a best of 5, these long kinds of series. SSG, they've been doing a good job though. They rotate constantly throughout. They're never standing still. w7m, they never have the full read on the exact attack that's about to come. And because of that, they will find these kinds of rotation kills when they are making movements.
That's a big pick on the KZ as he lurked below the bomb site. At this point in time, most of those magnets should have been thrown out, so at least you're still gaining utility from the Wamai, even if he himself will not be a factor. Now the Skeleton Key can go to work down below, but JV92 will fight back. As people have said, holes go both ways. Ashton from the window, able to trade out JV92, not before J90 dies though. Now, Space Station's focus over towards Jacuzzi Breach and over towards Logi. Philippe Pox pushes and he goes down. SSG doubled up in a 4v2. Down goes Fultz. Herd still inside of the bathroom. He's the last one standing. He sees the Hibana, but he's trapped at this point and will need to fight his way out. They'll swing on him at the exact same time. Good coordination from Space Station as they survive a bit of a scare and get the round.
I was a huge fan of the rotation from SSG there. They noticed that the construction was going to be awful to try and attack their way through. They didn't have the utility for it. Immediate switch to go back for Jacuzzi, work the book angle from below, and it there's so much reward came of it. Obviously, it got them the round. I think had they have tried to layer that across from the East, they'd have been struggling.
Yeah, and they stuck their guts. So I said, trust the process there. Things were working out well for them. And they're like, okay, let's still commit. We see in that 2 versus 1, they start planting and they go, no, we shouldn't plant right now because then it becomes a 1v1. Instead, fake it, get off it, and we see the timing in the secondary screen. They timed the 2 versus 1 push perfectly inside a bathroom against Hurts because he will look one way, he will die to the other. I'm trying to stall for long enough. It's gonna... We're not gonna see it. I was trying to see if we could see the replay there at the end, but no. Oh!
That F-bomb came through clear as day on the other stream.
Oh, the B stream's popping off.
Xenox dropping a heater on the cast. I'd like to remind you that while the action here between W7M and SSG rolls on, DZ versus VP are on map 3 on the B stream. The winner there moves on to the upper bracket finals. The loser does not go home. A different story over here, whereas the loser of this match is gone. That's right. W7M might go home. A team that has won every event except for SI in the last calendar year, looking to complete the trifecta on home soil, might not even make it to main stage. After a year of utter dominance, that would be falling well short of their expectations and frankly well short of ours as well. So if you're invested here, feel free to keep it on. If you want to see what's going on with DZ versus VP over on the B stream, please go tune in because it sounds electric.
We actually just pulled it up, I'll be honest. We just pulled up the clutch that we had. Yeah, it looks pretty good, to be honest. Into this round anyway, it's obviously CCTV. As SSG are trying to work the main breach, obviously the problem, and we see it a lot now actually, with the mirror window going onto the breach, especially the fact that they're bringing Habana, makes it very clunky alongside Impact Trick in the breach. Does go scuffed from time to time, and it looks, based on player positions, that they're going to go for Garage after that.
Yeah, that's a bit tricky because, like, the first step to get Garage, like, you want to get a nice big open breach in the main wall CCTV, because then you get those lines of sight in towards Catwalk that applies more pressure to defenders. And if you don't have the breach open very well, you also have to keep barriers. There are 1 magnets to make cover. Like, you just don't have a clear, like, clean plan here. A lot of angles are restricted. It's going to be a difficult round to take versus G if they stick the Garage push, but of course things can change. We saw Valcams as well from Philly Box. They have intel on construction, so if they do rotate, w7m, they will know.
I hate to highlight bad performance.
Then don't. Okay, do it. Okay.
J90 is not really helping his team in terms of utility. I cursed him right on the spot. J90 the first casualty. Forrest has been downed. He'll need to be retrieved as now it's Fultz inside of Garage to tussle with this Rafter play that JV92 is locked down. Kiva barriers to keep him safe for the time being. KZ was there through the floors, Houghton with a nice angle. Forrest has been brought back from the dead. He has the case and full utility on the Capital. You'll need those firebolts to get JV92 out of this position. He's not getting out of alive. Burnt to a crisp. And Forrest back from the dead proves to be the best thing that SSG has done so far. They have an advantage over W7M as Nate has now fallen below the bomb site. W7M can taste map point, but SSG is going to make them bleed before they get there. Look at the HP on SSG. They're winning this fight despite losing gunfights here and there. But Fleepox is last alive, and out goes a Nitro cell before Ashen collapses on him, and Space Station keeps them in this. 1 round away from a tie game.
What a round!
I was going to say, how do you break that down?
How? And I mean, the value of the Capital is the one thing that I want to mention there. We obviously saw Houghton when he was on the defense, Impact out to try and get the kill onto the Capital. SSG have Monty banned away. Yeah. What are they going to use to facilitate that Garage push? Capital. Even though he was down with not how he managed to get the rafters obviously on fire. JV, that was their big one. Oh, wow. And then just an execute in sight, a flood into sight because there's so little time. Yeah. But sometimes that happens where every single kill goes your way, even when they're not supposed to, and you recover a round from the dead.
Yeah, I mean, even in the death to a Guma, and that's how chaotic it was. Timeout. From
SSG.
They won the round. Like, oh, great.
Hey, FaZe did the same thing in the matchup against Sonics just about an hour or two ago, where they win the round and they say, we got some things to work on, let's settle it down. Now for FaZe Clan, they ended up going on to win the map and the match, but they did not win the immediate next round. If the same thing befalls SSG, that means W7M moves to map point. You have zero room for error on that point, and you've got 2 rounds to ensure you go to OT.
Huge kill, that one.
Yeah,
That was a nice angle. And it's because all of the focus was over towards Raptors, right? There was SSG investing a ton in Garage, and you're not expecting somebody to be down below you in Lounge to pick apart the defense.
Oh, wow. There was a Legion kill.
Yeah, exactly, the Guma kill. And you know what? I would say for Forest side, that was worth it. Because if you put out the Goo, you'll die regardless, but by spraying down an angle, you might get a kill. He does.
I guess Xenox isn't the only one dropping F-bombs on this broadcast.
But man, I mean,
we've devolved.
I do like the timeout because SSG, they should not have won that round in my book. When it comes down to clutch factor, they played well, sure, but strategically, the breach didn't get open correctly. Garage was a mess, but the flood on the side was effective. So now talk things through. You're gonna end this match either on attack, where you'll be staying, or you'll go on OT, of course. So now get ahead of the problem. You're only 1 round behind your opponent. They can still build the lead. Oh boy. Okay, JV. He's my fantasy league pick, by the way, so if he does well, I'm very happy. If they lose, I win. He's doing pretty good 10-5 so far.
Who's winning that?
Nick is in first right now. Nick is actually in first right now.
Jesse, am I actually?
As of last night, I believe from the numbers I
believe
saw.
I'm third now, and Jesse second with Lynx #1, I think, something like that. I don't know, but I'm up there, top 3, I believe.
Of course, casters who have the script are doing well. What a shocker.
Oh, wow.
J90, 1-9. A dreadful performance here in this very first map. Gentlemen, what is going on with J90, and is it impacting SSG at this point? This round is over. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I talked over all the kills. Why? Because W7M got 4 kills in the span of 15 seconds. There's a minute 50 left on the clock, and W7M are up 5v1.
You call your timeout, despite winning the round. You talk things through, guys. This is the game plan. Let's change this up, etc., etc. This happens. Oh, disaster in the server, right? And if you're J90 especially, I'm not sure his impact vocally with like making calls, but statistically in the server, he's really not shown up, and usually he really does. A big missing link for SSG.
Yeah, it looks like Hotton's actually going to have a go in this 1v5. Doesn't even get the first kill onto KZ. That will be a flawless round, and I think that's not how you want to follow up a timeout, really, is it?
Really?
Let's be honest. You know, you won the round, your coach just called a timeout, and he's gone, right, guys, we kick on from here. Flawless round in the first minute.
I think you just forget about that round, right? Okay, guys, they won basement. They're supposed to. We go do something else. Not a big deal.
This match is actually like, it's really intriguing from the point of view of, I think SSG generally have played the utility game better, and their coordination and reactions has been pretty good. However, and you know, you hate to kind of dunk on some of the individuals from SSG, but the pure gun skill obviously belongs in the side of W7M. So when SSG get kind of drawn into this gunfight type attack or defense, that's when they're losing. You know, you saw here. It was all around the gunfight. It's no utility whatsoever, and it was a flawless.
Yeah, it's not even just that it's a round win. It's that it was done so efficiently by W7M. 4 separate engagements, all break in your favor so early on. And SSG, a team that loves to talk trash, is relatively silent after that round, as you would come to expect. So back to the drawing board for Space Station. They are battling uphill at this point. W7M built up a pretty nice lead in that first half. A nest egg, if you want to call it. And are now riding out downhill, accelerating, it seems, as they careen, not to disaster, but to victory. Good news for Space Station is you've got Chalet up next, or Cafe up next, pardon me, as your next map, and your map, most importantly. So that will be a thrilling matchup. I asked this question about J90, but then he died, and then the round was basically over.
Don't do it again.
Really get to...
Don't do it again, Parker.
Space Station doesn't pay me nothing, so I can ask this. What do you think it is about J90 that is falling short right now? Because he is far and away the best performing player heading into this match for Space Station.
I mean, I said earlier, I think like you go up against so many different teams and play styles, and eventually the way that you play the game will be countered naturally by your opponent. W7M here in Clubhouse might just be that kind of thing where he's not in space to thrive, no space to do anything, and there's no easy ways in throughout the map because of how tight of a ship W7M they have on defense.
No action yet through the first minute. Only 1 drone lost from Space Station. There's a Solus on the board, which makes it quite impressive for SSG to evade the operator, who is probably most proficient at getting rid of those drones, other than maybe a Mute. Maybe add Mozzie to that pile, but the Mozzie pick rate has been virtually non-existent here at this event. It's been Solus taking away intel for these teams.
No Mozzie, no win. Again, we tend to see match point or overtime rounds. Teams tend to slow down because if you mess up now, well, you lose the map. For SSG, they gotta fight really hard every single round for just the smallest of victories. And right now we see again, w7m, they got the layers as well. Shield being deployed. Wall gets open, you fall back. SSG, small mistakes, did not want the barricade first, allowing Philippox to run away.
Oh, he almost gets away. But Ashton punishes him. That's the commando in the hands of Grim doing all the work that needs to be done. Unbeknownst to Space Station, the Solus is roaming in the basement of this map. Problem is we all know how dangerous stairs can be.
Yep.
Not just in terms of falls, because you can break a leg, but more importantly here, you are very, very exposed when you go up these stairs and are fighting against the high ground. JV92 also prone in Logi. If this has gone undroned, he can be incredibly important in the thrust of the round. Nate, as we said, lurking down below, almost gets 2. Doesn't even hit a single shot against Uncold, but JV92 pops up and assumes the position. Case has been dropped as well. So in the final 25 seconds, Space Station in trouble, left just to Forest, and SSG will come back down to earth in map number 1. W7M takes their own map in scary yet confident fashion.
You got J6 up now if you're SSG. If you go into the exact same game, like say strat style on Cafe, I'm not sure how things are gonna play out. We gotta see Jen and No come alive, and we gotta see them be able to control the pace more against that of w7m.
And that's it for map number 1. W7M will go up against SSG on SSG's map pick of Cafe. It's up in just a couple minutes. We'll be right back.
W7M take their map pick in Clubhouse and continue their push for the main stage here in Sao Paulo. SSG have some work to do if they want to crush some Brazilian dreams here. My name's Ian Chambers on the desk alongside Alfama and Fox. Before we talk about what went well for W7M there, Fox, let's talk about SSG's defense.
Let's talk about it. I mean, we praised a lot of SSG's adaptability and the way that they can read a game. And the first 2 rounds, they started off very aggressive against W7M. W7M, very comfortable with it. They were able to handle it very well. SSG read that. They ended up switching up the tempo, slowing down, playing behind the utility, forcing W7M to come for them in the site, be able to get the round wins from them. It worked perfectly in SSG's favor. Then it was almost like a little bit of overconfidence out of SSG. They had the utility, and then they started going for these aggressive plays, almost trying to prove it to W7M that we can fight on your playing field, and it just didn't go in SSG's favor, and that's where the mess happened. They got a game plan, it was working well, and then they kind of abandoned it.
Yeah, Alfama, you've got some examples of how playing around utility was the only way for SSG to win rounds.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what Fox was saying, is that I don't understand the risk-taking in extending too much. When you look at these rounds, they're actually playing really well. It was a 5v5 up to 40 seconds left, which is something that they want, right? Because W7M likes to be fast-paced. They like to enter the round really quickly. They like to flood and gain a man advantage early in the round. And what you want them is exactly to not do that, not get the man advantage, and play a really late 5v5, slow and methodical, force them in that slow-paced game style that they don't like. That was the first example, right? A late round execute that they win, SSG. And that's another one, but this time in attack, how SSG is using the utility to clear and win the man advantage. Here with the flashes and the Capitao bolts, utility is their key to success right now. Let's not take too much risk in gunfights, open gunfights. Rather use the utility as the #1 gadget to win your rounds.
Exactly, why take the risk? W7M had 6 opening kills, and on all of those opening kills, they got a 100% conversion rate on winning the round. And that goes to show that W7M obviously wants you to fight them. They want you to peek them. They want you to go for these engagements, go beyond your utility, beyond your comfort zone. And that's where they're able to hit their shots, and that's where the confidence just flares out.
Yeah, they handled the aggression really well, Fox. I've got to ask you, Alfama, we are now going to Cafe next. SSG's pick. Which way do you see this going?
Well, so far, right now, if we keep things going like this, they clearly had a game plan coming into club. The thing is, they didn't execute it properly. I think they didn't play around the utility too much, and that's what punished them. Now, looking into Cafe, with the operator lineup they brought, right? They brought Green, they brought Capitao, they brought utility-based operator that removes strong positions. I think it's the perfect lineup for Cafe, actually. It's the perfect lineup to hit side directly and avoid that aggression that W7M is bringing. So if they can keep that going on in Cafe, I think they can actually win this.
Absolutely. The utility isn't the main factor. It doesn't really stop SSG's attacks on a map like Cafe. It's very linear. So information is the biggest key. Information is what's going to guide SSG through these initial round wins, and they need to be able to get a little bit more of a comfortable showing on Cafe. It's the second most attacker-favored map, which is surprising because Cafe is such a defender-sided map. SSG doesn't have a problem of getting in the map. They have a problem of securing that first pick and not losing a trade back. So if they continue with that operator lineup like you brought up, I think they'll be able to put a little bit more pressure between W7M's roam game so that they won't be able to connect and get a trade back.
I think we can all agree on this, that it's basically the early round that is currently defining who's winning. If they can keep their man advantage in the early round and play until the late round and play around the execute, SSG strategically should be better and should beat and win these rounds. If W7M in the early round is playing aggressive and gets that opening pick, then it's on their hand that they will win the round. So right now, what you want to do is play safe in the early round, and in the mid round, prepare execute, and play around that late round execute. The 20-second meta, that's what they need to bring right now to win.
Do you think that you want to see more, the vocal, loud environment from this SSG roster? There were moments where it got loud. I think they've been louder in the past, but it's when your back's against the wall, that's when you really need to step it up. But I do feel like W7M have got that, key, vital map-winning experience where it's not going to affect them too much.
They do. I will say that W7M, the biggest factor for them that we talked about through the tournament is overconfidence, and they are very confident right now. Obviously, when you have an opponent screaming at you and you're able to shut them up a little bit, it puts you in a comfortable driving seat. And from the side of SSG, I want to see maybe a little less screaming and over-exaggeration and a little more just focusing on yourself, making sure you get those rounds. And once you have that little bit of a safer cushion to sit on, then go crazy.
It's funny, it's actually two completely different perspectives on how they should win and approach that game. And one thing that I'm actually surprised is I was talking about, how I feel like w7m must feel a lot of pressure because if they lose here, they won't see their home crowd after such an amazing year. And I don't see the pressure so far. I just don't see it. They're having fun, they're playing aggressive and winning those gunfights. It's back to the w7m that won 2 consecutive majors.
Yeah, I mean, look at them right now on camera.
Look at this.
It's a prime example. Man's about to eat.
He's eating American. Yeah, Jamie.
That's exactly the sort of vibe that you want to see from them, because you might have thought that coming into this matchup, it isn't the w7 of old that we've seen at the recent majors, the dominant w7m. But the fact that they are here and they're bringing that same bravado and confidence that you would expect when they're on fire is a really good sign, isn't it?
It is a really good sign. I mean, I think it can bite them in the back a little bit if they let it get ahead of themselves. SSG is a team that mentally doesn't do that normally, but when you see them going back and forth, focusing a lot more on the screaming in the first map, I think it goes to show that maybe what we talked about in the pregame, where they are maybe unexpected to be in this position, their expectations were very low. So to them, when they get those rounds from a team like w7m, it gives them that little bit of a boost confidently to just scream back and not necessarily focus too much on the next round, but focus more about the narrative, which they say they don't worry about as much. And I really want to see that going into map 2, is them not worrying about the narrative. And they lost map 1, they have to put that behind them. If it gets to a map 3, I'd be very scared if I was SSG.
Oof, well, we're going to find out very soon. Map 2 is ready, and it is now time to cross back over to a duo that's looking pretty fresh today, I'd say. It's Intero and Pengu.
With Fresh, of course. As they said, there's a reason why Fresh is here with us, and I think inarguably looks the best of both of us.
He is looking dapper.
Looks better than you, that's for sure.
Thank you very much.
He got a t-shirt on with a little turtleneck.
I did say maybe I need to dress it back down a little bit.
It's called a turtleneck, Nick. What is wrong with you?
He could be fancier, come on.
A t-shirt with a turtleneck is not a thing.
Okay. I'm from Denmark. Do you speak multiple languages? I don't think so, sir. You don't even speak French and you're from Canada.
Do you speak multiple languages?
No.
There you go.
He's from England.
We outnumber you. We outnumber you.
The problem with being English, we'll get into the game in a second, but more or less across the world, everybody speaks some English. So you can get around wherever you go.
But do you not feel bad? Do you not feel a little bit lazy that you don't bother living?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Good. But Parker doesn't, that's the issue.
But I lived in France for 2 years, barely speaking French.
What can you say in French?
Parlez-vous anglais, which is do you speak English?
Okay.
I lived in Poland for 3 years and I didn't learn any Polish either, outside of beer, thank you, good morning, and swear words. That was it. And frankly, that's all you need to get around. Exactly. Do or die for Space Station. They are on comfortable turf. Cafe is their map pick. And w7m are up 1-0. If SSG fail to win Cafe, their run at the Six Invitational is over, and we say goodbye to another World Championship winning team. We said goodbye to Ninjas in Pajamas. Was it yesterday, 2 days ago? I think it was yesterday, if memory serves me correctly. The days will kind of blur the same. So, for Space Station, obviously a lot on their shoulders. Gentlemen, set the stage. What are the expectations for both of these teams?
So, if we think about the map first and foremost, before we get into operators and everything else, I'm a bit confused by SSG's map pick. They have to have seen something in w7m's play. Like, I'm expecting this to be a counter map pick because of w7m, because SSG at this event, on this map, have lost it twice and won it once.
Okay.
All 3 of those games, 14 rounds in overtime. They lost it 8-6 against Wolves, 8-6 against Dark Zero, and then obviously beat FaZe 8-6 on it as well. So it's not a map that is particularly high preference or that they have particularly good results on. And if you're picking it knowing that you will be attacking first, I presume it is a counter pick specifically for w7m.
I'm actually a bit surprised by the operator bans because I expected 2 operators to be banned out by whatever team, Monty and Asami. But instead, neither is actually banned here, so both defense and attackers, they have those tools available, of course. w7m, they banned the Grim, which might be thinking, why would you do that? Well, on cocktail attack, reading attack for those window repels, Grim beats in the windows to get the intel. Is it clear? Is it not? If it isn't, capital fire follows, you burn them. If it is clear, rappel on in. Grim has a very high success rate and pick rate here on Cafe, that's why he's banned, but you're giving SSG the Monty now, something that they didn't have previously because they banned it, or they was banned against them rather, on Clubhouse. That could be a different way for them to deal with these problems.
There's a Nitro cell lined up. I don't know if you saw that. There you go. From Herds, tossed out. Larson pulled a little bit early. Fultz lives because of that. J9O coming into this matchup is the highest rated player on the team and had the most kills as well to go with it. But he had what I think you could categorize as his worst match so far at this event. I believe his final tally was 1-9. Memory serves me correctly?
Yeah.
We need the numbers pulled up, but ultimately, he was ineffective with his gadgetry and ineffective in terms of gunplay. And when both of those things go awry, you end up not being much of an asset for your team whatsoever with a team of SSG that relies on him so much. And he has been the win condition through so many rounds, you simply cannot have a bad game from him yet again. So, you need to start off strong. Han Golden Fultz will do just that. As almost a minute and a half into the round, they get picks onto both Herds and Fleepox.
There's more above. Casey now is still roaming. They're gonna full commit here. It's gotta be, you know, a round win or lost upstairs essentially here. Casey looking for a kill, but does he have to read? Impacts the wall, does have it, and the shots lands as well.
Nice kill on the Fultz. Now it's JV92, who's unretrievable. Sees in the afterlife. Ashen in on the fun. Fultz, Ashen, and Houghton all with kills so far, leaving J9O and Forrest to find them. Forrest will be playing on the shield. Problem with Monty, as we talked about before in previous broadcasts, is that if you don't have a supporting group around him, the Monty is not particularly effective. A second kill from Hot and Cold is now it's all up to Nade. W7M thrust backwards on this very first round. Diffuser going down. Nade looks the wrong direction, and J9O, I believe, matches his kill total from the first map and does so in the very first round. SSG start off 1-0.
On Clubhouse, when SSG were playing much more together, slower, utility, and you could argue say strategical rather than for kills, they looked so much better. They actually looked so much better across that game. They just didn't do enough of it. First round, they got the full clear, but they took it very, very slow.
Yeah.
As soon as they got that into the 4v2, I think it was, they knew that KZ was off site and therefore hit the site and pressured the one player on site, and it was really, really nice reading. The one thing there are positives despite the fact SSG are down one map, and that is one of them. Their reactions to their opponent and what they're doing has been very good so far today.
I don't know if you noticed, but Forrest playing Monty that round, but we never saw him till he planted the diffuser because he was on drones until like the 4 versus 2 basically. He was basically in spawn, droning, checking, etc. He wasn't really actively partaking in that round from what I noticed at least, and he wasn't needed. The roam clear, Monty's not so quick for that. It's more about, getting down the diffuser, pushing the bottom side, whereas the blitz, if you were to play that operator, that's more about going fast, hunting down roamers, etc. Forrest was hovering blitz for a short while there, but because it's a top floor attack, it's not really a high impact operator. Too many angles, long lines of sight, open rooms, very spacious area here on the map. So instead, we see Capital and the Gridlock. But this is where the Grim Bank comes into effect. And it's what allows w7m to go on this top floor defense because it's not that commonly played anymore as it was in the past because of the Grim Capital combination. So, with that operator band of Grim, you can now play top floor and see if you can hold on to it. And you gotta summon for piano as well. But just in case they play Monty, JV is playing Oryx, who is Parker.
The fastest operator in the game.
That is true. Very well done.
J9O, another pick. 2-0, he'll never die again.
Careful now.
Highcaster cursed him so bad in the previous map.
Maybe HD should start paying you because you clearly can take a victory away from them.
Wait, you guys get paid?
Oh, you're...
Maybe? I don't know.
We'll find out, I guess.
JV92 dies to Ashen, and so far, SSG are banging on all cylinders, boys. Fleepox gets droned out and immediately has to scoot away from his position. SSG have plenty of time to line up for this execute. Forrest is the only player so far on his team yet to get a kill through this round and a half. Will hold on to the diffuser. He was on the Monty before. This time, an operator perfectly capable of getting kills as Gridlock.
I just slow down here again, like you said, Jack. You get the early advantage, slow things down. And again, you're expecting the defenders to make a move, jump out a window, swing it, a thing. And they are. They're moving around a lot, but SSG playing very far back, very disciplined here, waiting for the right moment.
Here's the drop as KZ had a potential lineup. Down goes Nade. SSG's guns are just way too good for W7M. Not much they can muster, but that DMR hits like a truck. KZ almost gets more than one inside a piano. Fleepox is not too far away. He's playing Pixel, long range. give his position away, and he'll be pushed from back bar, but Fultz gets their first longer range, and Space Station starts off perfectly through 2 rounds. Stark contrast to what we saw in map number 1. SSG looking definitively like the better team.
Again, a lot of good patience once they got that first kill coming in there, and I think, you know, w7m kind of was the undoing of themselves. They'd lost a couple of kills. Their win condition was very clearly that Philippox would be below with the Solace.
Yeah.
Knowing that SSG would try, you know, we would know, many viewers will know North America Siege generally is very plant-focused. SSG like those kind of plays with the Grim, with the Capitao and the shields to try and get those plants down. Philippox had to rotate back up the staircase because of the 2 kills that had happened, and there it all went a little bit askew. SSG waiting their time, choosing their moment to execute, and it went pretty much perfectly from there. Got a bit hairy in the 2v1, but they saw it out. And I think, you know, we said coming into it, or I said coming into it, that Cafe had to be a counter pick, and it looks like they've absolutely done their homework. Absolutely done their homework on w7m.
I agree with you. And speaking of how, you know, NA, they like playing on the plant, etc., both of these 2 teams very plant and strategy oriented. Going into this, there was 11 maps played for SSG. They have 30 plants total. w7m played 13 maps, so 2 more, sitting on 26 plants, so 4 less. These are high numbers of plants.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's literally number 1, number 2, but it's definitely top 5 for both of them, where they want to get the diffuser down, but we have not seen all that much planting so far on the first map of Clubhouse or here in Cafe. It has been defined on the bomb side, mostly sure, but they're afraid that chaos of gunplay.
I'm not surprised just on this J9 conversation. Not surprised he's actually doing better on Cafe than he is Clubhouse. You see this from time to time with the way Clubhouse plays out. The players that are very, that get a lot of kills or whatever, Clubhouse forces people to play in, I would say, more support roles. You look at breaches, 2 breaches, 1 Thatcher, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Doesn't get in as many gunfights, and people can have bad days, even if they don't usually. Cafe feels like a map that he'll be able to be a lot more expressive on and get himself into more gunfights. 2 and 1, already better. As this attack comes in onto the basement, lots of utility from the defense.
We gotta talk about this.
You do it too. Give me a break.
We are ranked players here on IJAC. We call it the basement bomb site, and Parker has been nagging for years.
No, it's not a basement. It's the first floor of the map.
I literally have to change this for the broadcast with him.
Look in the bottom right-hand corner.
Oh, okay, so we're just going to argue about this the whole round.
It says 1F. That's first floor.
I agree with you, but he's in the middle, so...
You're both bricks.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
The first floor, then.
Thank you.
Basement is underground.
Sure.
You know when you come to the lobby of the hotel, Parker, which number do you press?
Ground floor?
0.
I don't actually think that's the case in our...
It is, actually. Yeah, it goes 1, 2, and 3rd right now. Spoilers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
It's not the case in every hotel.
It pretty much is, though, to be fair.
Cultural differences.
Yeah. Well, you know, right now, one could argue that the attackers...
They were racing.
They were racing.
Did you see the 2 boogies? They were racing together.
Oh, no, I did not see the 2 boogies. But the floor is done for. Singing a shotgun for Gitlock, 2 boogies, racing across the floor, destroying all of it. Now, the Monty's gonna see action. First time this time, it was the roam clear, the kills early. This is a 1 minute 5v5. Sorry. So my bad. 5 vs 4, Ashen kills KC, but Forrest now will lead the charge to the Monty. We can finally see what SSG they envisioned with this pick.
3 rounds in a row where Space Station has gotten this opening pick does not bode well for w7m whatsoever. As now the shield will drop, and Nade needs to be really careful of what comes next. Forrest is just juggling that extended shield. As down goes Philippox to J90. Ashen looking for a kill as well. Hot and cold dies. That's the gridlock down. But Forrest taking up space. Nade another kill. Forrest has found himself inside of the site. w7m have no. Oh, he wins anyway. What? How does Forrest flick around to kill Nade? Diffuser going down. w7m falling by the wayside. J90, an impressive performance so far, as now the Monty on a sliver of HP can re-extend. Sit on that diffuser. Fultz getting softened up, but it's Forrest to get it done, and his face says it all. How the hell does that happen? I have no idea.
I've seen a lot of Monty rounds in my life. I've never seen Monty round quite like that one.
How is he 180 in
I
there?
don't know.
We need to see. Oh my days. Honestly, I have no idea. I think the strategy that SSG had that round was perfect, by the way.
Yeah.
I think, and this is why I think SSG can outthink w7m. they don't want the win condition to be the kills. They want to place them in basically unlosable scenarios. If we look at how the round was broken down, SSG focused on the top 2 floors, getting the vertical, and then they got down onto the first floor, and then went from bakery side across with the Monty, and it.
Jesus.
And what that does is it means the defenders cannot play anywhere. So even though it got a bit hairy, they had enough people in the right positions to get their way through. Another great attack by SSG where they are outthinking W7M currently. They're taking that win condition from W7M, which is the gunfights and the gun skill, and then making it strategical and utility based. And I love that from them.
It's worth noting here that the praise of saying that SSG are outthinking w7m, that's a massive deal. Yes. Because w7m, when they first came around, they reinvented how teams played Chalet. They were trend-setting, meta-setting, changing the game from fundamentals, and showing one of the most clean ways of playing Siege, most consistent ways of playing Siege in many recent years.
It does make you wonder, actually, as we see the same C4 lineup coming out from Hertz, it does make you wonder why the Grim ban, why not the Monty ban from W7M? Because it's been used so far to devastating effect. C4 will miss again, happened on the first round, it's not going to happen again in terms of SSG know it's coming now, they're just so much ready for it, taking that extra 5 seconds.
And I so agree, because I was like, Grim ban, okay, that's like the overall meta ban for Cafe, but it's not what SSG is
such a good shield player.
Yeah, and they banned it first, so they clearly have the idea that, hey, these guys do like to bring the Monty sometimes, and the funny thing is when they banned it, like, haha, we're not going to pit anyway, you guys wasted a ban. I don't know.
Yeah.
They might be overthinking themselves right now because they're not really showing up.
We're noting again that every single map at the moment is defender favored. I guess the exception is Nighthaven Labs, which is literally 50-50.
Damn.
However, Cafe has the second lowest win rate for the defenders, sitting at 54% of all rounds. The only bomb site that is attacker favored is Bar Cocktail, which is the top floor bomb site. So the fact that SSG is up 3-0 is quite good. The fact that Forest is dead early for Spacestation is quite bad, because every single round, Forest has been a big part of the execute. SSG's gonna have to do it without the mountain this time.
And now they gotta pivot. You said, Jack, that SSG, they gotta, be able to also adapt in these rounds, but also sometimes when they do the right thing, know when to stick to their guns. Right now, they said, okay, win condition, Monty. It worked before, do it again. But now he dies early. What's the win condition now? Because all we got is Capital, but there's no fire arrows left.
And it's KZ right now, inside a piano, lining up 2, just letting Hot and Cold get away. He doesn't need to secure the kill because he's got JV92 to do just that. And now it's Ashen alone with 50 seconds to go. Diffuser is down inside a piano as well. Do you as Ashen take essentially a timeout?
Maybe, but you maybe just try. Like, you're 3-0 up on Cafe attacks on what is considered, like, in my mind, even the statistics might not necessarily show this, the most defender side. It's so hard to attack Cafe. They're already 3-0 up. I think Ashen just goes for this, see what he can actually find. Miracles can happen. He's going to take the fight onto Red Stairs and change and look at White Stairs. Depends how much W7M want to fight him, really.
Oh,
if he can identify ones, he might be able to. No, I was dreaming. Of an Ashen 1v5. Or 1v4.
It can happen. The thing is, if you're Ashen there, you want to feel good about it. Get a couple of kills, get your confidence up, and if you get a couple of those like people coming for you from w7m, you're like, I'm better. I am so damn much better. But no, he gets 1-for-1 trade.
He's playing on Whiskey, as you saw.
Oh, that's how he died.
Oh, that's great.
Oh. I like the way that W7M coalesced around that part of the map. Whiskey. And it's not unlike a Scotch. It aged quite well. The Monty obviously getting killed through a breach that was made by your own teammates is debilitating. But if you assume that Forrest survives that encounter, he can then put more effort onto Piano. And suddenly, KZ, who's playing in that position, is not able to play with impunity the way he was once the shield operator went down. So losing Forest necessitates SSG to completely change things up. Sometimes a single operator that is an integral part of your execute can be your undoing if they die early. Your whole strategy unravels. I have to imagine that with how important Forest is in terms of the operators that he chooses to play, that was the case in that previous round.
Yeah, I guess you can argue that more often than not, Forrest will be the defining factor of what style of attack they'll be going for. Like, he's in gridlock now, that means one thing. But before that, he was hovering Nuke for a very long time.
Yeah.
And Nuke and gridlock, night and day difference, right? So the entire team will change around this. Now it's gridlock, Nomad, Capital. These operators that say, we don't want you to move a whole lot, or if you do, you will be punished. We're gonna capture you, isolate you. And back in my day, Jack, what this would mean is that you do a limited top floor attack, right?
Yeah.
You take like Cigar, Piano, Air Jab, go below, attack the second floor, that would be.
I was just wondering if this is going to be some kind of half clear, actually, because I was thinking about the top floor, and then I realized how little vert they have other realistically than the Flores drones. So I'm wondering if the plan is to take Piano and then aim for the train side and use the gridlocks and the Nomads just to hold off Piano, hold the defenders out of there, and then attack that site from there. Because if they do spend all the time trying to take top floor and then start working vertical, it could run out of time pretty quickly.
Yeah, not just time, but again, you said the vertical play, just the floor street. You don't have block or a sledge, so strategically not the best approach, by my means at least. And you see it here, the fire goes out, they think there's somebody roaming inside the bathroom, but we know no one's really there. So Util kind of wasted here early, no real follow-up. I'm not sure what you think is going on, but I feel like whatever they thought was happening isn't really there.
Another opening pick for Space Station. So far, they have been excellent, and the only round where they have lost that first blood was in the previous round when Forrest died. So SSG striking first on attack as often as they are is a bit surprising for a team that popularized that all over the map aggressive defense. W7M made a name for themselves in Brazil by being everywhere all at once. And so far on Cafe, it seems like they are nowhere most of the time. Space Station is taking advantage of that.
See the Vigil now running around, but again, how much value are you getting short? They don't know the exact whereabouts. The fire hits and pushing up, and they want to take all top floor attack. We were wrong.
There goes Herds as well. Down drops Fultz to KZ as W7M get their very first pick. Information to be gained by the Soulless now as JV92 assumes the position underneath the bomb site on the first floor.
And this is kind of the problem, right? They've taken top floor, but there's 40 seconds left. Where do they now work from here? As we see KZ closing off that rotate there. But W7M, they can win this 3v4 from being inside of sight and just playing the late round. Such limited vertical coming out. And they've got Maestro cams. They've got the Solis from below. And they've got KZ alive inside of the bomb site.
A bomb has been located.
20 seconds, and this is a very quiet round so far. Now Forrest will pivot. Out goes the track Stingers. Nade might take some damage here, but it won't slow him down. There goes Forrest as he vaults in. KZ punishing him. A smoke will stop W7M from seeing the advance of Space Station. Ashen with a pick before he's traded out immediately, and Nave is still there on red stairs to quarterback the defense. J90 might survive, but the round breaks in favor of the defenders as time runs out.
You're right, Jack. A classic example of they wanted everything that they could possibly take. You don't need a lot of top floor because it's not a reading bomb set attack, it's mining and dining. So Vert doesn't get you very far. You don't have a lot of it, and by taking a lot of top floor, you didn't have time to attack the actual site later on.
I think there was a couple of stumbling blocks there. So during the round, I actually wondered, do Space Station know what the site is?
Yeah.
Now, we're working on the premise that they do, but it looked like they were executing onto the top floor, which they did perfectly, to be fair. Got themselves a 5v3. But then the second kind of problem was that the hatch inside of Piano was closed that allowed KZ to basically play inside of Train and play this area. Such limited that. I think their plan might have been to open that hatch, or assume the hatch was open, and then drop on that hatch into sight, and they couldn't do that. So they just kept finding stumbling block after stumbling block after stumbling block. I said SSG at the start of this game on the attack were outthinking W7M. I think that round they didn't. I think they got their approach wrong, if I'm being brutally honest there. And they've allowed W7M a sniff getting back into this game.
I do agree, and I had the same question because one of the Retero drones from Flores was used inside of Freezer stock, which is right above a library default plant where like the half-wall is. I'm like, that's not the bomb site.
Yeah.
But then we also saw Nomad entering to reading, and like, you would know there's no diffuser there. But either way, messy round, scrappy round, but W7M, good, sound, strategic approach, right? Vertical play, Maestro eval cams, playing on the staircases,
played the wing
roaming up. Exactly, they played their wing conditions quite well, and SSG didn't have any stable plant positions.
So the final defense now for W7M. Based on the numbers that we cited a round or two ago, you expect W7M to come out of this half in really good shape. But obviously that's not the case. The best that the Brazilian team can do is draw. I'd like to remind everybody that this is an elimination match. The loser goes home. As you can see from the orange chevron in the top right hand or the middle right portion of your screen, W7M won their map of Clubhouse. They can do the same here on Cafe, and Spacestation boards a rocket ship and blasts off back to North America. And W7M will continue onward.
Nice.
Thank you. I worked on that one for a while.
Are you sure you're not being paid?
This guy might be a professional, one could say. We all know professionals get paid. Now, speaking of getting paid here, there is a round that one team desperately wants, and it's not SSG. I think, yeah, statistics, whatever, but like W7M, you know, sure they win the first map, but you don't want to go down 2-4, right? Because attacking is difficult even for the current best team in the world. So you want to get this half-half, 3-3. Both teams can be like handshake, whatever, it's equal. The next half matters more. Vert destruction, long lines of sight, capture fire and smokes again. Clear win condition. We've seen SSG do this attack with Monty. It was excellent, but this time there is no shield.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to pick up on, was that Forest is playing the Buck here. They've got more soft destruction, and the one thing that the Buck can do is actually destruct inside of sight with that range soft breach and get the long angles into the dishes. What an angle this would be for Ashen! Oh!
Nice.
Herds must be fuming after that one, as both Herds and JV92 are having quiet matches in terms of kills. Thank goodness you've still got KZ and Nate. I mean, good game so far as well. But there's a reason why SSG sought out Ashen to join this roster, and he will make them pay. Though JV92 gets back, KZ dies to hot and cold. Every trade that occurs over the next 30 seconds will benefit SSG, and Forrest has a bit of a stumble as he walks into the goo mine. For now, he can attempt to get that diffuser down. JV92 has an idea, but pressured over towards Whiskey as Philippox picks up 2 out of nowhere. This is a 2v2. J90 juggling the diffuser, picking it up. Now has to go for the plant with 7 seconds left. But I don't think Spacestation have an understanding of where this final player is. JV92 walks in and folks. Even if he hits the goo mine, doesn't matter. His focus is on protecting the diffuser, and he does a damn good job of it. First half in the books, and it's SSG to come out ahead, not before. Hot and cold can do exactly what we saw W7M type to Team Liquid, and Houghton says, JV, help your team.
Phenomenal round there. The sheer chaos, also the trust from SSG to say, you know what, we're gonna plant in a less than ideal spot. I believe that you will cover me. I'm thinking, yeah, that's easy, right? But the Naguman strikes, slowing down the movement of the cover. I'm like, he might not get there in time. Ashen found this great pick, but Ashen, I believe, also died in a silly way right after with the crossbow in hand, not looking at his opponent, and it almost cost him the moment in this round to seize it. But this right here, JV advancing forward with Foes isolating with the hip fire kill as well, and then we see Foles there just getting there in time despite the goo mine.
Excellent flick, and if Foltz had missed that, you're about a half second away from W7M getting the planter, killing J90, and winning the round. And Herds' face really does tell that full story of not just that round, but also the first half. Now W7M have a much harder job. You have to take the less favored side on your opponent's map. Right now, just in terms of probability, Chalet looks so likely. He might be feeling good if you're.
He might be warmed up. He might be warmed up. And my big point, my big thinking coming into the defense for SSG was: are they going to make the same mistake as Clubhouse? Are they going to try and play for the picks on the defense? It looks like based off the spawn peek and Ashen peeking out the window, they are going to. Now, when it happened on Clubhouse, they were punished time and time and time again. Slightly different scenario this time, but it looks like they've got that confidence and they are warmed up.
Here we go. That is most foul.
Oh, right after the BM'd him, then spawn peeked him.
1.5 on the Roni. It might run out of bullets very quickly into the long range. Your gun's gonna hit the ceiling in about 1 nanosecond. But Ashen is just built differently. Assembled alternatively, one would even say.
mean, the big thing here is that you're playing the mental warfare as well of like, okay, you're not going to feel safe in your spawn even. You got to sprint towards the building, look at every window, a jump out, a spawn pick, etc. And it's slowing down the attack inside of W7M because even now, they're in the building, half round is burned, Casey found Ashen. So when you get the early pick, Jack, normally you would cool down and relax a bit more, but I feel like Ashen got a little bit greedy there, looking for one more kill perhaps.
Yeah, and the big problem with that is he's taken a fight with a Dokkaebi and lost that fight. So even when the Dokkaebi is going to get the information, Echo is up on the board as well, and that's a big problem because the win condition for SSG is that plant denial, is that late round, and if the Dokkaebi manages to steal the phone and get that information for the attack, that could be absolutely huge.
I love the juggle as well that we see between these teams, right? You have a Mutant and Mozzie on the board for SSG, so what does W7M do? They've got a Jackal, they've got a Dokkaebi. They're basically just fighting each other for information every step of the way. Diffuser goes down, SSG equalize off a nice shot from Fultz. Almost had the Nitro Cell pulled out, but both he and J9O will swing at the same time. Fultz survives that, but it's all up to Herds now with the Diffuser ticking away. A third gone, 30 seconds left. Fultz swinging around, but it's Herds holding the position, not giving up at all. And down SSG goes. W7M successful in their first attack.
And this is my whole point, right? Is if SSG are able to outthink W7M, we've seen them do it on the attack, they can do it on the defense. So they get the opening pick. Why are they then just aggressing? When the win condition is the Echo in the late round for the denial, doesn't make sense. It's like a fractured approach. And who is I genuinely think who is the best team at punishing when teams get too aggressive? Probably W7M. You know, Herds, KZ are incredible at that. And, you know, they use the Dokkaebi to facilitate that as well. I don't think we saw a single Dokkaebi from SSG in their attacks.
I don't believe so.
Don't remember it at all. And KZ played it this round, and he's playing it the second round again. So it's going to be a big nuisance for SSG.
Typically, when you roam on Cafe like we saw here from Ashen, from Hot and Cold, the Offroads, etc., it's hard to get back to the bomb side, right? Because, you know, white staircase is that door that is outside the building, the brown staircase, same story, where Ashen just died, and red staircase, well, that's where the enemies are usually attacking from. But we saw J9O with the Echo using the Yokai outside the garage door, saying the coast is clear. So with that intel, J9O could easily get, guys, if you want to go back to side, go down the white staircase, it's literally clear. Instead, Ashen's probably like, yo guys, where can I get down? And like, I don't know, pick staircase. He's like, okay, I'm gonna come down brown, I'll be there in 2 seconds, dies. Or it's like, you have Yokais you can actively use for intel to escort your teammates or get the intel, but instead they're wondering about taking those 50-50 guesses, so they have tools to work with, but didn't utilize them in that previous round.
Reloading!
Plenty of drones being brought now from W7M, who had to deal with that Mute Mozzie combo in the previous round. As we had mentioned, this time it's just a Mute on the board for Hot and Cold. JV92 bringing a Boogie drone, which doesn't give you any visible information the same way that the Clutch drone of Nade's Brava does, but will work great at destruction. And if you can see, Cafe is a very vertical map. You want to always take control of the floor directly above the bomb site. Bar and Cocktail upstairs is a bit of a small problem because there's nowhere to take other than the roof. Herds has walked in, they bait in Hot and Cold, down he goes. That's red floor, and red stair control as Herds floors Fultz and Houghton. And immediately, a minute into this round, W7M has a 5v3 at their disposal. Now it's Ashen. Might as well. Where were these bullets coming from?
Man, the Skylar through the softball, the instant game right now. But again, HG, they don't let the enemies problem solve with the keepers and the cats. They're fighting them on the red staircase and on the exterior window repels. J9O has piano control, but at what cost?
He's taking KZ out of the fight, but he's down but not out. Nade eliminating Forrest means that it's J9O who doesn't get credited for the DBNO as Nade gets the final 2 picks. We got a tie game.
Jack, when you play Reading Library, you can dive at top floor because if the enemy takes top floor control, they destroy the floor, they plant round 2, right?
Yep.
When you're playing Mining and Dining control, should you dive at top floor the way that they did, do you believe?
No. But also, not just the way that they did, where they did. Where's one of the most exposed positions for defenders on Cafe?
It's red staircase?
Red stairs.
Yeah.
So one dives there, another one walks in, and to be fair, it was a great double kill coming out from Herds. But it's trying to get too active. They don't need to be attacking when they're defending.
Yeah.
And I know that seems like a silly concept, right? But they can test the execute of W7M because I believe they're probably going to be better at that than W7M are. But when they're offering up gunfights and 1v1s, I said it time and time again, I genuinely believe that W7M are far better at shooting than some of SSG. I'm not just throwing them in the mud. Of course, they're great shooters.
Yeah.
But in a 50-50, I would favor W7M, if that makes sense.
It's never really a 50-50 against them. That's
exactly.
the issue.
So why are they changing the win condition from utility and executes and that type of stuff to let's offer up a big fight on red stairs within a minute? I do not know.
Yeah, I mean, I will argue their case and say, oh, surprise factor. Why would we do it? They're not going to see it coming, right? But then the person bottom red and the guy in Cigar, they're not playing at the same second. So it's desync, and it's why Hertz found both kills where realistically, Hertz should get traded, you get 1-for-1, and the spawn big attempt, J9 doesn't succeed. He sees the player, shoots the bullets, but they do not connect or land anywhere on a body. w7m, they have been bringing the majority of the same operators throughout most of these rounds. One big standout here, of course, the Amaru can fly in a window, take quick map control, execute for sight. And I didn't see yet if it's a shotgun Amaru or an LMG, or when he swaps to primary, we'll figure that out later on in this round. But the point is here that if w7m want to change things up and go for a quick one, they can. And they got side intel, they open up the door, but do not be scared, don't be fooled. They're not rushing in just yet. They're just kind of feeling out the waters.
Oh my. Alternate yokai for JV92 any day of the week. Ashen with the first kill from upstairs in cocktail window.
It's a big one. Again, now this time they use their intel. The bait and switch was a conscious decision there. He says, I'm going to drone the door, you swing the window. That's what we didn't see last time around.
It's the teamwork. If you're actually going to have that aggression, have the teamwork and do it, do it together. It's kind of the age-old thing, right? Doesn't matter what you do, as long as you do it together. A bad plan executed together is better than a good plan executed separately. And I think that's exactly what we saw there.
Now, though, you go. No, you go.
Me?
Yeah, you go.
We're all professionals here.
You get your talking moments.
None of us are getting paid, right? Right, guys?
Right.
J9 inside of Freezer's case. He was on the hunt. And this is such a brazen swing, he doesn't expect there to be two players from W7M in this position.
He didn't have to swing. He didn't have to swing. Fools has the vertical from below, and Ashen also had the walk-in if he just baited himself. As it is, Ashen has managed to find a kill back to keep the man advantage.
Double digits broken for the newest player added to Spacestation, and now those yokai drones will be put to good use, not just for intel, but also disorientating these players, or disorienting the players. So now, 2 kills from W7M. They hold the advantage, almost out of nowhere. Fultz will go shotgun to shotgun against Philippox, who is briefly stunned and is waiting for the reaggress. But now it's Forrest next in line. They allow Philippox to get out of this position as Fultz retakes from above. KZ suffering a lot of damage, not before Forrest is dropped. It's a 1v2 with SSG holding Fultz in this position on top white. Diffuser is down, but not down and running.
It's in cocktail, right? I believe so.
It's not retrievable at the moment for these players, so they're both going to have to go up. White! Oh. KZ wins it with the skeleton key. We're on quite a run here. Boys, do we feel a timeout coming from Spacestation?
Possibly, but before that, I feel like everyone was equally confused there. Fultz like, what's happening? W7M, what's happening? You went out, you're like, is diffuser buff? I think so, I'm not entirely sure. Parker said, will there be a timeout? And we know now that SSG, they have called the timeout. We will bow towards Parky, the all-knowing, all-seeing commentator.
Just as Fox has been nailing his predictions, not just winning in terms of like knowing who wins, but how many maps.
Yeah,
I want to be the timeout guy. I would like to say as well for those listening, we almost never get heads up about timeouts.
True.
Sometimes we will hear in our headset timeout called SSG or timeout called W7M. But I'd say probably a good 90% of the time we have no idea that it's coming. We can just go off of the flow, and obviously you don't need to be a professional to know that after losing 3 rounds in a row, 5 in fact, of the last 6 rounds, you need to call a timeout. SSG won 3 of their 4 rounds in the first 3 rounds. So since then, it's been all W7M, who definitely seem to have some struggles acclimating to this map. But they are dialed in. Frustration is setting in on the side of Spacestation. And if you cannot settle your team down, you are going to let W7M sprint away with this and send you home.
It's a tricky timeout to take, I think, for call-out as well. I think particularly that they haven't really done much wrong in the last 2 or 3 rounds on the defense. And you never want to, as a coach, you never want to say to your players, stop peeking them.
Yeah.
You know, stop having the confidence that you're better than them, but just taper it a little bit. Bring somebody with you, and I think that's what he will have been talking about. You know, we saw it at the 1M in the freezer in the last round where J9 has just swung, but actually had 2 players he could have used to crossfire with. They knew about his position. They were clearly going to focus him. Instead of team playing, he just swung out and died, and that will have been the things that callouts will have been, you know, kind of trying to get into the mind of his team, really.
I could see that. One thing I noticed as well, the bomb set itself, library, no rotates, no soft destruction at all.
Yeah.
It almost seemed that either SSG forgot last round to set up the bomb set itself, or they played fully for top floor. They're running out, they're disrupting the attack, but the issue is they've done this now almost every single defensive round. Now it becomes readable and predictable, and this time also with that, it gets punished. You can't do the same thing every round, right? You gotta relax sometimes. You said, Jack, great teams can change the pace, quick, slow, whatever, on the fly. SSG, they will pick a mode and usually just commit even when they no longer need to.
And I think ultimately that's where some of the problems that they run into is because of this, right? It's clear as day that they're being punished every single time on the defense because they're trying to be too aggressive, and they're trying to be too aggressive solo, but they keep doing it and keep banging their head against the wall on that.
And Solus loss is a devastating one for Spacestation. 45 seconds in, you've already lost an excellent roamer who can play well below the site. And with this being on the middle floor, there's ways that you can employ hot and cold above and also below, but that's not going to come to pass. KZU as an IQ scanner doesn't see the F0, as there goes Philippox, and Ashen will follow shortly thereafter. SSG still trailing in numbers. W7M with half of the round still left.
Excellent here trading from w7m. The fact that they can just trade 1-for-1 continuously because they got the first pick, they will end up 1 versus 0 if this keeps happening, which of course gives them the victory. Self-destruction from above, but also 2 C4s from below. One tossed out, it misses, it goes wide, no damage on whatsoever. SSG, they don't have any intel, they're guessing as to where they might be.
Which on the inverse, W7M still have 5 drones up, and you can see there's nobody left on the left side of the screen that can stop those drones from gaining value. There's no mute jammers that you have to worry about, no Mozzie being played this time, and the Solus died early on. You got the Tuberau, so you have to worry about the gadgets being slowed down, but ultimately it's not going to be full denial. You just got to wait out the clock, and eventually W7M will be able to cut through this defense.
Fultz is actually in a power position inside a site for me here. He's ratting, he's close to the window. If he goes undroned, he could have a huge impact should W7M attack that B-bomb site.
All of the drones are now out for W7M, so if they can collect the appropriate intel from it, they can very easily make this work. JV92 is going to test your theory about hot and cold. Fultz is on the ground, and if he hasn't been droned out, he gets the kill. JV92 knew, but hot and cold is just better with that gunplay. Down goes Nade. Suddenly, W7M have fallen by the wayside. Herds with 1 pick. He doesn't hold the diffuser. 5 seconds to get all these kills, and he's going to play keep away with the rest of the team. J90 pouncing on it. And we've seen some life from SSG.
And what's the difference between that round that they won and the defenses they lost?
Slowing down the end,
Slowing down and forcing W7M to execute. And that's exactly what happened. 5-5. If SSG have got that into their minds, this is prime for them to win that. You know, it's a little bit of early aggression, fine, but really force them and use the time and use the utility and use the fact that they've got to attack you.
Wow. Oh, yes. Oh, he got back inside, actually. Okay, I was going to say, if you don't lose hot and cold early there, pretty much a perfect round. The way that he did die, I will excuse it and say it's fine, because I thought he ran out really deep. He died, got overly aggressive. He died while inside the building. This was a good position there from the attacking side instead. But yeah, you're right. Slowing down, playing utility, make them problem solve, right? The Tuberau, not the most flashy play, but denied the hatch. It freed things up for them.
I was absolutely hoping, you know, when they were in the 3v4 scenario there, I was hoping J9 was, and again, there's been 1,500 rounds of Siege over the last week. Might have happened, so I'm going to preface that. I don't recall seeing a Tuberau use the gadget to show the footsteps for the C4.
I really haven't seen it, no.
No, it's been very breach focused, and I was wondering if J9 might try that. He didn't.
Yeah.
I was hoping.
the most that we've seen from Tuberao being used is on straight walls, so just horizontal play, not a ton of vertical play. But we've also seen the Zoto canisters used to slow people down. So throw it at a breach, try to walk through. If there's a Kiba barrier on the other side, it's going to work as a way to just prevent the attackers from taking up as much space as quickly as humanly possible. So there's a lot of little applications that we see to those canisters that obviously we can miss with spectating, but also teams might not find the most value in.
This is such a high quality game. I'm really enjoying this. Just the back and forth of these teams adapting between rounds and rounds. W7m are not doing a lot wrong. Obviously, I think they'll feel that they messed up on their defenses, but their attacks have been excellent. Yeah. And the same token by SSG.
No, it's true, like we saw last round, like the Tuberao hand-picked for one side, for one specific iteration of that side, not being brought this time around. Now look at this.
Can we get an overhead view for a second of what's going on up there?
Look at this.
There was like 5 Kiba barriers at one point in this
all
part
around
of
the
the map.
piano, on the sofas, wow.
2 of them gone, immediately explosives galore dumped in. Ashen sitting far enough back, he doesn't have a Kiba barrier in front of him, but a deployable shield will help him out. J90 dies to Herds as Forest heads for the hills down below. Logic bombs going off mean that the remaining players from Spacestation, all 4 of them, might be exposed to W7M. Down goes Ashen. This is not the start that SSG wanted after picking up the previous round.
That's tough. Last time they over-aggressed, now they played quote-unquote correctly, but still they go punish. 2 members down, keep barriers, so quickly destroyed. Hertz just flies in, he gets traded, it's still fine because W7M, they're up with 2 more players in that of the defense.
Yeah, and that's the big problem, is the follow-up, the snowball effect that we keep talking about. Ashen obviously trying to get a refrag, got killed himself, and that's the problem with Hertz and KZ. Ultimately, right? That's why they're so good, because they can just string these kills together and make them look easy.
JV92 flashing up the stairs, looking to make his presence known. No gadgetry beyond that, as the flashbangs are gone, as are the logic bombs, but man, oh man, that Type 89 is so good into that close range, and SMG-12 will tear right through you. W7M, 1 round away from advancing onward in the lower bracket.
You know, way back when this tournament started, I think it was JV in the elevator speaking to Fox, I believe, said, you know what, we want the magical lower bracket run. And I'm like, yeah, no one's gonna actually say that and mean it, but since going to the lower bracket and it's like do or die the pressure, they do seem to thrive more in this environment and perform better than before.
Does wonderful things, pressure. It really does.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the making, oh wow, what a kill. Actually, I will retract my criticism of Ashen there.
Yeah.
He wasn't even swinging to try and get a refrag.
He got smoked.
He sat behind the shield thinking, oh yeah, I'm set. No, I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, going into this, before this matchup started, KC and Hertz were sitting at 190 kills plus, like 194 and 195, whatever. Compare that to Forest and Hot and Cold, we're sitting at 100 to 110. KC Hertz almost have double the kills of 2 members on the side of SSG. And it's not because Hot and Cold and Forest are playing really bad this event. They're barely even negative. It's just because KC and Hertz, they have played out of their minds, even when losing. You know, those records that were broken earlier, spoken of by Parker. And it just speaks to how phenomenal individual play can be, how far it can get you. And in terms of maps, SSG, they've even played 2 more maps going into this. Or sorry, 2 maps less than W7M. So consistency for these players across those 11 games.
If SSG lose this game, they are going to be kicking themselves.
It's gonna suck.
Kicking themselves. Not just because obviously they will be eliminated from the tournament, but the fact that they could have won both of these maps, but for a few mistakes. If W7M win, they'll be thinking that was a banana skin that we've avoided there. Because even if it was 2-0, it's not being that far different between the 2 teams.
Yeah. These W7M matches have been so high quality.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue if they win. Let's be frank, right? On the other stream, as we might be approaching the end of the A stream, the Aussies are taking us through a match with some more Aussies in it. In fact, it might actually be the international match with the highest percentage of Australians, because you've got Cousins and Oxcasting.
Yep.
G2 has Virtue.
Yep.
And then there's Team Bliss.
Yep.
So they're heavily outnumbered. Folks. The Aussies are multiplying at this point.
They are.
And G2 obviously wanting to continue this run through the lower bracket, but Bliss have stunned us. They sent home an EU team yesterday. They have another opportunity to do it today, and actually all teams that they beat would end up being EU teams. Now, SSG have 2 rounds before they can go to overtime. That is their win condition for this match. They can no longer win in regulation as w7m sits on series point. Killing Herds early with the way that he's been playing has been excellent. But we saw the EMPs go out, so the utility won't necessarily be a problem. As I'm talking, what a shot by Forrest onto Philippox as he attempts to get the diffuser down. But w7m are looking to keep it close. It might be a little bit too much to muster. As now it's KZ walking in, down goes Hot and Cold. And 417 in hand for Twitch. Will now maneuver over towards the bomb site. Down goes Nade. It's KZ in a 1v3. The record holder that we saw achieve such success just a couple days ago will have a Herculean task ahead of him. Pick up that diffuser and attempt to plant, as there are multiple ways that SSG can get back into this bomb site, and there's 3 players to do so. KZ looks to draw them out as he attempts to plant and then gets off of it. A second will go just by the bomb chassis, and it's J90 to walk up. KZ knows this. He looks towards the doorway where he'll be exposed, and all they need to do is time this appropriately. He might try to dance around the bullets, but he can't dance around the nitro cell, and he gets blown sky high as Spacestation sends us to the final round of regulation.
Give them problems to solve.
Overtime. Overtime.
Overtime.
Overtime.
Give them problems to solve. SSG will be starting on the defense now as we go into overtime. Give w7m problems to solve. w7m just tried to ignore the problems. Ashen got a great entry pick, but crucially, SSG were playing 2 floors on the defense.
Look at this too.
Bomb.
Lovely.
Was that 2 1-taps?
Yep. So instead of w7m trying to solve problems, they tried to just cheese their way through it with Smokes and Monty, not really thinking through. And that's SSG's key win condition for me. They can win this. They arguably should have already won this.
Yeah.
Overtime now, they've got the advantageous side. They just need to convert that.
No, I'm with you. There are so many rounds that SG they lost with it's like really, really minor things or an incredible gun skill, you know, coming from w7m, etc., shutting things down. We see them make the right play behind the shield, vault, bang, 1-tap. Okay, SG, they lose. So, strategically, I agree with you, Jack. I think they've played a phenomenal game so far here. And again, having the knowledge to say, okay, we're going to play top floor, give them the entry, so let them walk in, we take care of it. Smokes went out upstairs from w7m, but they didn't really reach the right area, so Forrest got that 1-tap.
4 times SSG have played Cafe at this event. 4 times into overtime.
Yep.
It's fate. It's going to be an 8-6. We just don't know who to.
Win or lose in this particular map, w7m do not go out. There will be a 3rd map. As you can see, the decider is Chalet, which would be stunning, because think back to that Chalet matchup we've seen in the past, one of the best ones that you and I casted. Wolves versus w7m. SSG is obviously a very different team. Both so far have played quite well. Jack, you said this. The teams are learning and growing as this goes on, which has also been the story of this entire event. We started off with group matches showing teams had a lot of rust, but they've been flexible, they've been working that rust off, and now we're starting to see the potential of these squads.
And that's the fact, right? We're talking about a defender-sided meta, both teams achieving 4-2 attack splits to take us to overtime.
Yep.
Yeah. And also, like, we're in overtime now, 12 rounds in, 13th here on the score. Hurst now playing Jackal, J90 is playing Pulse. Things are still evolving despite going so far into this map. They're really reaching down into the depths of the pocket, saying, okay, what do we have left? What have we not shown? What could be a surprise factor? How can we change this up? And we see it now as SSG sitting very comfortably, very far back. Naturally, in overtime, the attack inside will go a bit slower. There's small things happening. Nate goes out, disappears, it vanishes because Jaeger's being played. That's ridiculous because his pick rate is so low these days. He gets caught by the ADS, shut down. w7m, very slow advancement here.
Nate having some problems with a mute jammer there
mate.
on a soft wall. From time to time that happens. It's the other side of the hard wall, right?
Yeah, the red guy came through it actually, but yeah.
By the way, in case you're wondering, Jaeger is the 18th least played, or 18th most played defender. So the fact that we see one right now is phenomenal. Forrest dying early, down goes Ashen as well. That Smokes off the board. That's a Warden off the board. You've still got a Pulse.
Yes.
So there are 3 operators that you want to have when this w7m attack crashes onto shore. And one of them is in the hands of J9. Bolts testing his metal with a shotgun on white stairs. Right now, 2 players from SSG are actually stacked up in this spot. Hot and Cold is not too far removed to assist with him. It's KZ who has a shotgun of his own. Super shorty might not be the shotgun you want, but in a pinch, still very good at close range.
This pulse could be key here. The fact that J9 is playing the pulse has the information on where they're going to go and potentially execute into.
Fultz is still in this spot. They're still going to continue to test it. But the more that Fultz is distracted, there aren't as many players from SSG. W7M has the numbers advantage. Philippe Hawks reads into that. Diffuser is going down. Fultz is not contested. Nobody is watching. Fultz with 2 quick kills. Harden on the board as well. W7M implode on that round. And Spacestation moves to map point.
What a play by Fultz.
Yeah.
What a play by Fultz and the Jaeger. I don't know who was playing the Jaeger. Engage KZ. When he's reloading, cross his angle and work your way back into sight. KZ had an idea that he had 2 locked, probably thought that he still had 2 locked, and they knew that J90 was somewhere else. Hence why W7M had the confidence in the plant. Fultz has made a great play that W7M should have shut down.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, you know, if Case, you know, he can be kind of greedy. If you give him a fight temptation, he might go for it for a while. Like, they were baiting him essentially, saying, oh, we're here, we're not here, we're here, not here. No one committed for a fight for a reason. Exactly. And it's great because I think it was Hot and Cold and Jaeger there, just going for the pre-fire, buying time, stalling out, hiding the sound. And I'm thinking, nah, there's no way Fultz gets away with this, right? No, he does. Because the issue is when you have 3 attackers alive, you cannot cover every single angle. When there are not enough drones alive, they don't see the cross either.
And again, test the execute. Yeah. And that's why W7M keep falling short across this map and this match in totality. SSG, they take the lead. W7M called that timeout. Now, I do want to say, Igor is the coach of W7M. He has had incredible timeouts. He knows exactly when to pull his team back strategically and when to pull his team back or set them free emotionally as well. It's what makes him one of the top coaches, is that he does both.
1 by 1, they decide to engage this. Fultz is very happy to say, by all means, gentlemen, I've got a shotgun. You don't have information, and now you don't have your life either. Surely enough, we go into what could be the final round. Round number 14. We have a dog being brought by Herd.
Things are happening.
Things are indeed happening. Of all the maps that we've actually seen Dog played on at this event, and Dog's pick rate is non-existent, why a Dog on this map in particular?
5 seconds left.
I mean, you're playing piano, a lot of chip damage, window repels. In general, like, if you're expecting Capital, again, chip damage, you're gonna heal people up, also reinforce confidence. Hey, you're full HP, you're full HP, hey, you're overhealed. But also, what's the bigger talking about is not the Doc for me, is that SSG, they thrive in chaos. Forest is like the main guy for this. He'll play these funky operators, full send it, no fear, no nothing, and they got both the Blitz and the Armorer here, Ashen and Forest. They're not gonna go quiet into this round. They might not rush immediately, but when they feel that they have all the pieces that they need, they're gonna explode on site with Forest, Ashen leading the charge, and all they need for success usually is just the opening kill. So if they can get that before they execute or during it, that might just seal it and take us to map 3.
I gotta say, I love the lineup from SSG.
Yes.
I love the Blitz. I love Forest on shields. Though, we've pointed our fingers at some maybe misplays that he's done before on both Blitz as well as Monty. But Forest could drop through one hatch. The Amaru of Ashen is on the other side with the shotgun out. Nate is ready for this, and you better run for your goddamn life.
Oh, what?
How does that happen? Nate somehow wins the fight. Ashen kills Herds and is now looking for more. But JV92, who himself is now playing Jaeger, is far enough back in Cocktail to get the pick. And everything that SSG seemed to have lined up has completely fallen off.
Blitz got knifed in the shoulder in a small gap with the shield, and the jam was on the ground, stopped him from flashing his opponent. He had to go for the raw knife there. No flash could happen, and it stalls out the push. They've lost their true win condition, but they still got 3 excellent players in Fultz, J90, and Hard and Cold.
They've got so much utility to try and work for, though. As Army, Castle, Mute, not much time. They're going to have to try and devise a plan quickly on how to win a 3v4. And execute it. They know that Piano is clear, however, which means there is a lot of utility they do not need to worry about. They can maybe try and force something into the long bar here.
I mean, Philipox is holding Piano, though, from Whitehall.
I was going to say, diffuser on the roof, no one's picked it up. So right now, they don't even have the case. Yeah, there's still the repels, but with time being 45, they gotta spend more time, go back in the roof, pick up diffuser, just to enter the building again. This is not great.
No, not at all. Time is not on their side. Hot and Cold will bait for a kill outside on the generator, out on balcony. J90 jumped on by Philipox, who gets out-dueled by Fultz. 3 kills, and suddenly it's winnable. Fultz was the reason why the previous round went for Space Station. Could he pull this off again? Again, no case, but Fultz is making this work in W7M. Fulter! Fultz in particular wins this round for his team, and Space Station stuns in map 2. We're going all the way to map 3 as SSG wins their own map.
No 8-7, they somehow make it out without that needed, and also no case either. This shouldn't go that way based off the script, but sometimes you will cook up your own magic if you're a great player.
Now, we're gonna throw to a break, but the B stream is in action with G2 and Bliss, so we're gonna take you there briefly until we come back. Sit tight.
Well, that last round, but Virtue finds a trade elsewhere on the map against Brendo, keeps it at that 4 versus 4 territory. So far, Virtue's been so consistent throughout this game of Oregon. Was one of the standouts, at least on the attacking half, doing again well here in the defensive half. That drone doesn't make its way through. 5 remaining for Bliss. But it's Wedables. Does eventually shut down Virtue. It felt like it's holding a key position over towards Dining. Gets rid of the Izami, and they've also dealt with that Warden. Suddenly things open up, an opportunity for Bliss. And it forces Doki into action. Up above and towards Kids' Dorms. Keeping at least a little bit of that Vert pressure. As the drones come through Ram. Very important on a site like this. Is that a missed drone? Doesn't really pay dividends anyway. 90 seconds left. And still that top floor control for G2. Very prevalent.
I think at this point, Bliss have a really good read as to where this defense is positioned and what the game plan is for G2. Can really feel the effect of that Solar Span, and Bliss gathering a lot of key information. Now it's all about playing off that, capitalizing upon the positions that they have and the advantage that they have worked so hard for in this round. You let this slip, and for Bliss, it might be difficult to get back in this match, but Fisho, a double kill here in round 9. Benja and Doki, 2 star players to try and clutch up for G2.
Benja going for a play over towards top backstairs inside a big tower. 50 seconds left. He spots one on the rappel. This could be a freebie. It's Wedables on the ace. Not too sure if he's aware of Benja's position. He's slipped in. Yeah, he's got no idea. Free kill for Benja. Information, though, provided for Bliss. They now know exactly where one of the 2 players is remaining. Gumine stepped on for Fisho in towards site. Doki coming in from classroom, though. Benja up towards attic, and he's already catching off Sage. Fish needs to get the plant down. Oda to provide cover, but where's that cover? He doesn't even know really where to look. One up above, but he's got no idea. Plant goes down successfully. Now they know Benja's up above. Doki, though, coming through security, but they have already dispersed away from the site. Spotted! Oda, it's a shoulder shot, then plays the keeper barrier. Thank you very much, Virtue, says Oda. Needed that one. Now Benja in a 1-on-2. Is Bliss looking to take this tertiary site to give themselves back the lead? Benja knows where one is. The Nitrocell was the right idea. Pulls it back, then back out again, but it doesn't hit the mark. And suddenly this becomes very difficult for Benja. As he gets lit up inside a kitchen. Has to just stick this plan. At this point, pros do not fake, but Oda's a pro himself. Bliss take the lead. 5-4 on Oregon on G2's map pick.
Super important that Bliss get the plant down. Very difficult, it must be said, for Oda to cover against both defenders. Positions not certain. Vertical lines of sight, awkward to contest. Fortunately, though, for the Aussies, the plant was confirmed, and then the keeper barrier from Uno used against the opposition. Unfortunate for G2, a valiant attempt on the retake, but they've shown some weakness now. On that tertiary site, can Bliss smell blood in the water and convert a primary objective? Because we're going now back to basement. And the challenge continues for Bliss.
And that's where it's going to be quite difficult. And this is where G2 have looked really strong on these kind of more default sites, if you will. I mean, obviously, tertiary site, kitchen and meeting, that's where attacking into Oregon, you're going to have to find those rounds. Bliss are able to do that. You give them the credit. But this is where G2 can look to get themselves probably a 6-5 lead, say, winning basement, then winning kids' dorms again. It does now mean, though, for the side of Bliss, getting themselves that particular round does then open it back up again later on. We go to basement though for G2. They're looking quite strong when it comes to these very much on-site defensive holds. But Bliss have opted to change up their approach quite dramatically. It's a clear, but then a rush later on. I can't imagine it's going to be that fast-paced rush with just the blitz through Blue Bunker. When you bring the Jackal, you bring that Finker, you're going to be clearing. The Maverick to open up the hatches. But then later in the round, you've got to now contend with a fast-pushing blitz. Fisher with the entry over towards Small Tower, and away Bliss go with this very intriguing lineup.
Double drones, in fact, triple from Bliss, plus the blitz itself. Blitz for Bliss. So it should be relatively easy for them to ascertain what is and isn't being contested by the defense. Now, Benja is offsite side of lobby. Nitro Saldo a little bit too early. Trying to catch the Jackal of Sage. Oh, it doesn't matter. Line of sight. So Benja, he blows the Nitro, then holds it with the SMG, can fall back. Bliss now in a 4 versus 5. A tough objective made even more challenging.
Still a lot of time remaining in this round, but no Jackal makes that clear a little bit more annoying, although G2 not really playing into that roam now, and they've got that player advantage, as we typically see on Oregon. Now you just go back down to basement, take that player advantage, makes it very difficult for the attack to overload certain positions. Still complain to that blitz. It's still probably a bigger win condition than the Jackal, but again, really sort of highlighting what G2 can do on these sites. Pop up, get a kill, pop back down. Makes it really annoying. The Fisher guy's going a bit quick here. Good backstairs control, little peek down over towards that pillar. Loki holding around that angle on the Azami. Fisher guy gets his own drone out now, and Brendo looking to clear out this position in terms of that top-facing Kiba barrier. Takes a peek on that Finker. Has 3 Adrenal Surges. Again, can really make this rush happen. He loses his life, and it will be a little bit more annoying for Bliss. E-box droned out. 3 drones is all that remains for Bliss. Again, really good. Nitro Assault from Uno, though, right onto the face of Fisher guy. The shield can't do anything to stop that. Flashes from Bliss. Do they go off of that? No. Hold their positions. But suddenly now they are staring down the barrel of a 10th round defeat. Very strong defensive hold from G2. Not really making any kind of mistake. And again, basement is theirs. Oh, so convincingly. 5-5.
Uno has been incredible throughout this map so far. Several moments where he's really stepped up and found a kill or found some space or held a part of the map. That has been a huge condition for G2 in getting that round across the line. Nitro there to dismiss the blitz. Huge. If Fisher is able to get control there and facilitate the push back stairs into blue for default, again, could have really changed the complexion of the round. But unfortunately for Bliss, and it's been a story for them throughout this tournament, sometimes they can find it so challenging to shut down just one key player, and that unravels them, especially on attack. So Mingarang calls attack in response. 60 seconds for the boys to chat it over. We are going back to another primary site though. 4
out of the last 5 rounds for G2 clearly have now got the momentum in this match. Despite the fact that the scoreline is 5-5, of course, Bliss got out to a significant 4-1 lead. Albeit, defense on Oregon is a big reason for that. As the timeout does come...
It is popping off on the B stream. It's popping off on the A stream. It is not over yet here. It's a nail biter back and forth at SI 2024. SSG take their map pick and move us into a 3rd and final map. We still don't have the answer of who's making the main stage in front of that sold-out crowd here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Welcome back. My name's Ian Chambers on the desk with Fox and Alfama. Alfama, SSG are up for it. That was a map of many different stories.
Yeah, if you could literally draw it, it would look like this. So SSG is going up, going up, going up, then switching sides, going down all the way to overtime, and then finally figure it out. Oh, okay, that's how we should do it. And it's all about playstyle right now. One thing that we pointed out together after the map 1 was strategically they're winning this, but every time they try to play too aggressive, they're getting punished by w7m. w7m are the best fraggers in the world. If you play into gunfights, you're just not going to win.
No, you're not going to win indeed. And SSG had really good game plans. We liked how aggressive they were on both sides. I think the main... Oh, I'm blanking right now. I'm sorry. I'm blanking completely.
I mean, literally, that was such a nail biter of a game. And I think like we were both like thinking, who's going to win this? Yeah. It's crazy. When you look at the defenses of Spacestation, the way they were playing them were actually, they were throwing back all the way around as they won in attack. In attack right now, they were playing slow and methodical, playing for the execute, and that's why it was working. When they came to defense, they were playing into early aggression, And so they were taking gunfights against w7m.
Yeah.
That's exactly what w7m wanted, and that's why it went to overtime. And finally, when we go to the end, to overtime, when we look at round 13, I think this is the best example of how Spacestation won that map, is because they actually reverted to their old style, their old play style. They played this crossfire upstairs on the dining bomb site to burn as much time as possible. Now look at this. Despite being 3v4, they will play against the late round execute and deny it, like the old Spacestation would do it. Faults on his mute, on shotgun, I played against that before. That was really annoying. Look, w7m will try and set up an execute, and this is what I mean. They're heavy fraggers, but when it comes to strategy, there is a weak spot. Felipox is defusing, and where's the cover? There is no cover, and that's how Faults is denying it. It's because, strategically speaking, we have a weak spot here to exploit.
Yeah. Fox, it was like, I'm sitting it all, together out there watching it. It was like a voila moment for SSG. Oh, this is what we need to do, right?
Absolutely, because they started off so great. They were able to get advantages. They actually had 9 opening kills in that whole map. They were going so strong, and then they were slowing down. And I think we noticed that towards the middle point is that they were slowing down, and they were giving w7m exactly what they wanted. They were giving them these positions to play with, these positions to move around. SSG had a 4-2 split on their attacking side, so it wasn't too bad, but the 2 rounds that they did lose was because they slowed down and gave w7m what they wanted. And then when they swapped sides on the defense, like Alphama said, they were giving them fights, and unfortunately it just wasn't going in their favor. But to overtime, to just wrap things up, it put them in a really good position that they were able to understand, hey, we need to exploit w7m's lack of structure. But when it comes to the map 3, the next map that's coming out, that map Chalet isn't very structure heavy at all.
Yeah, when we look on paper right now, it's pretty clear, the 2 game plans from both teams. On one hand, you've got w7m, best fraggers in the world.
Yep.
The win condition is playing aggressive, getting man advantage, and when they do that, they convert the round. You look at Spacestation, they're really good at tactics, at play together, great team cohesion, great chemistry. Strategy is the win condition. And like you said, Fox, when you come into Chalet, you have a lot of space to roam around, to play aggressive, to deny entry points. All of this plays into playing aggressive. So right now, I would say the tendency is to w7m being the favorite, especially as the win streak right now they have on this map. I think they're up 5 win streak on it.
Yeah, they have a 90% win rate in playing Chalet specifically. It's not a bad map for SSG at all, but it is a map that structures more around getting picks, being fast, playing all these open exposed positions. And how we saw the first map play out, SSG struggled in that just because w7m is so good at just maintaining a big portion of the map. But when it comes to the fast rushes, we saw a good amount of attempts on Cafe from SSG. So it's not like they're completely out of this last map. They just have to approach it with a little more confidence, a little more cautiousness.
I think you're making such a great point about this with Chalet. So I know I was saying that it's frag heavy, right? You have a lot of space to roam around and play aggressive. The thing is, you can do so much from outside thanks to the windows. So if you're SSG, you can have these prepared setups, these prepared executions with the same operators that they're running right now. It could be Grim, could be Captao, could be Monty, whatever. But like all of this stuff that you can prepare that can put you at an advantage strategically, it's actually quite easy to set up without taking any risk. So that's what I want to see them try on Chalet.
Look at these pictures on your screen right now. This is w7m, your back-to-back major champions on the cusp of potentially dropping out of the most important tournament of their individual and collective careers. A chance to be successful and run some of that momentum that you've built up over the past year or so into an arena full of your home crowd, and it all comes down to one map. Fox, that is a ton of pressure.
It is a ton of pressure, and I hate to bring it back to that, but we have been just consistently hitting down on that fact that the pressure on w7m is so immense. And we saw the overconfidence after the map 1. Obviously, they still made it very close in map 2, but that overconfidence, those little inches can become such a major disappointment if it doesn't go in your favor, especially on map 3. Everything is against the wall for w7m. I think this is the first time that they're going to be feeling that level of pressure. I know they've won major tournaments before, but it doesn't compare to this level in your own hometown.
Yeah.
When you want to play in front of a Brazilian crowd.
Sold out.
Yeah.
Sold out. Leo, you teed it up. You both teed it up perfectly there. There are a lot of answers.
Yeah.
A lot of questions to be answered here that we're going to find out after this map, including who's going to make the main stage. But is R6 a fragging or a strategy game? This is a real good example of where we're going to see that play out as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mentioned before. You've got on one hand one team that's frag heavy, on the other hand one team that's strategy heavy. So coming into this, Siege being the perfect match between both fragging and strategy, who's going to win, right? strategies. In the current meta right now, I feel like strategy may have the upper hand, especially using this Grim, Capitao in attack, the type of operator that are, again, removing strong positions. So I'm looking forward, and also maybe because I'm a bit biased, I used to be an in-game leader, I love strategy, so I would like to see the strategic team winning. Basically, that's what I would want to see.
I will say with the strategy too, getting the confidence, getting a map under your belt, this is the first time that SSG in the last 2-3 years have been able to actually take a map from W7M.
You're right, yeah.
So being able to have that confidence, knowing, hey, we can keep up with these guys, and having the strategy puts SSG in a very nice spot going into Chalet.
Fox Alfama, get ready to watch this with me behind the scenes and everybody else watching at home. This is set to be a banger end to this crucial series. Let's get into it with Parker, Pengu, and Fresh.
What's up, everybody? It's us, the boys. And we have quite the matchup for you. The defending major champions, not just once, but twice, going up against former world champions. And we have a third map, as Alfama put it, the perfect blend of strategy and gunplay. The community poll, 56% of you think that the defending major champions are going to win, 44%. Those numbers mirroring attacker and defender win rates on most of the maps.
Stylistically, I think this has been one of the best matchups of the tournament so far, just because of how chalk and cheese it is now. Nick, where do you stand? Strategy?
He's to your right.
He's standing to my right.
I'm to the far right, actually, yeah. No, I think it will come down to... I'm in the middle. I'm going to call it the mini executes.
Yeah.
Where it's like a mixture of both, right? You need to set up your thing strategically, but then 3, 2, 1, execute. Chalet plays out like that for most bomb sites, but we also know this is the map. W7m on defense, they altered the meta. Thankfully versus G, they stop defense, they can build up some rounds, but I fear for their attacks to come.
Now, I promise I wasn't coming. I was trying not to say these words on the cast, but Chalet, and you say altered the meta, they've basically showed how Split Fury is played on this map. And I know it's the buzzword, I know it's the topic, and I know you hate it. But yeah, that's exactly what they did.
I mean, you're not wrong. We hate the word, but you are indeed correct. And the thing is, SSG, I do think that if they can get a couple rounds here in defense, maybe the first, like, let's say 2 in a row, 3 in a row, W7m, they've not really been in this position as reigning major champions where we might go home, this might be over. So we have to also question the reigning major champions mindset of, okay, how do they do under not just pressure, but fear of going home, not playing in front of your home crowd, and not making it to the expected level that they should be at.
This is the 21st map that W7M has played so far in this event. Far away, a full series ahead of the next closest. Now, this is numbers. These are numbers coming into today's match. Obviously, we don't have the numbers for what happened with VPTZ. We know the results over there. We're not going to spoil it for you. G2 and Bliss is going on the other stream at the moment as well. We're not going to spoil that either, but 21 maps is a crazy amount of Siege to play. And they've still got so much more to go if they want to make the grand final. Is there some fatigue that starts to kick in for this W7M team?
It's certainly a change. Like, if you look at how teams play during the domestic leagues and best of ones, if I remember rightly, W7M qualified to the Atlanta Major on like 9 maps, for example. Something like that, 9, 10 maps. The point is they played double that at this event only. So surely there's a factor because the teams are just not used to it.
Okay, things will start off for Cafe. Okay,
what?
All right. So they were trying to spawn peek. They did a bit of damage to Hurts, but then they said, you know what, the gig is up. We're going to get 2 kills. So this is like Cafe, right? HG, they want to control the pace, they want to set the tone, they're still going for it.
Nick, it's still happening.
I know, I'm sorry.
They haven't stopped.
Poor JV, stuck in spawn.
Ashton is still going!
He's
new objective, get in the map. Get in the building.
I mean, the thing is, right, from a player perspective, we had like, what, a 10-minute break. Players are like, they're taking a bathroom break, etc., talking, strategizing, etc., preparing. You're getting cold. You go on the server, bang, spawn peaks, catching opponents off guard. No. They were ready for it because, again, you did this so many times with your SSG on Cafe previously, you're gonna expect it again. Forest will get 1 kill onto Felipox, but it's still the defenders playing for a man deficit.
This site's actually a really curious one for me because the way that North American love to play it, and North American teams love to play it, is they like to do these big cross clears and end up in library really late into the round and then drop into site. Whereas Brazilians and European teams tend to just attack library and the site of barring games directly, because you just need to clear out 2 positions. You need to clear out the library position, you need to clear out stock, and then you can plan. So obviously Forest is playing inside of stock and needs to be cleared out should w7m want to do that. But North American teams love this site, whereas other regions do not.
Ashen is itching for another engagement through the window, as it's KZ now to take some damage from Ashen. Finally, E1D is burned by JV92 as we've just surpassed the halfway mark of round number 1, and Ashen finally gets dealt some damage, and ends up being fatal as Herds out on the balcony subdues the youngster. J90 engaging towards JV92, keeping numbers close, but still benefiting W7M. All those Kiba barriers that J90 has inside a library, working wonders as he just sees the Cav. But he can't do much against Nade, and then there's KZ. Got the first 2 picks to suppress Forest, finish him off, and W7M goes up on round number 1.
Great rotations there from W7M. Looked for something direct, it wasn't quite happening, and then split themselves all the way across the map, leaving one library, piano window coming back through solar, all of those different places, and in the end J90 was like just too worried about all of, everywhere at once. It's what we talked about from W7M, and it's how they revolutionized this map.
I was a bit worried actually for W7M because I was afraid that they weren't getting enough things done in the server after they got these first opening kills. And again, on the way back into the building, that's where he died. That starts in this.
Yeah. That spawn peek was actually kind of genius. So the mute went out to try and get the enemy to look towards the mute. Obviously, he would be too fast by dropping straight back and coming in game's window, and then you spawn peek off the back of it. But W7M are wise to it, apparently.
Apparently so.
I'm keeping that one for the ranked strat book, though, Nick. I'll be honest.
We can try that one.
In about a week's time.
Yeah, that's the one thing when you're at these events. I'm kind of itching for some Siege at this point, We just play a lot before this event, but not here.
I obviously am nowhere near as good at this game as either of you. However, I get that same itch, and when I go home to play, I am very quickly humbled, as my games don't look a goddamn thing like these matches.
Nah.
Well, I cordially invite you to the Ranky stack, Parker. How about that? You can come and play with me and Nick. We'll have a great time.
Link's also got invited recently, so...
Yeah. So, I mean, here's one thing. We were discussing this. You said, yeah, there's been a couple people who've been banned from Ranky. And I said, why is that? You said, well, they're just not very good. I have no doubt I would meet that same fate.
We allow people in who are not very good. It's all about the vibes.
Yeah.
It's all about the vibes. We'll play with anybody, no matter the skill level.
It sounds like you're saying I passed the vibe check.
Yes, you do.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. Now, for this map in particular, Chalet has been the most played map here at the Six Invitational. 21 plays, make this 22. It is defender-sided, but not as close as we see from or not as much for the defenders. It's much closer. 55% of all rounds won by the defense. Bar Gaming is the most played site, but the top 3, Kitchen Dining, Wine Cellar, Snowmobile, Bar Gaming, are all played roughly the same. The only thing about this map that is different from a lot of the other maps is there is no attacker-favored bomb site. Okay. Every single site is skewed towards the defenders, even if the numbers aren't that great, 53% being the lowest. First pick is going to be Herd, so essentially on what is a coin flip map, the attackers could very easily go up 4-2 or even 5-1 on this first half.
Typically when I want to play Shin and I see it being played, you don't want to have one single member being isolated in a front and forward position. Playing solo bar, very risky. Having a teammate to help you, not so much. Ashen now, 2 rounds in a row, very much on his lonesome, and he gets punished for it. Okay, Forest to the floor. IQ doesn't matter. Scanner, you might see what you want to shoot for, but he gets shut down instead. That might actually sway the outcome of this round, because now the wall might not get opened up. It's hard to find and get rid of that Kite Claw. There are no Pocket MPs and no Thatcher in play.
The thing is, it was a big risk to try and get it from below, especially when they have top blue stairs and could shoot the Kite Claw from there.
Yeah.
4v3 is another kills found by SSG.
Forest with both of them, and he's not too far off of Hot and Cold on the Tubarão, both looking through the floor that's been opened up. Now it's Nade to attempt an entry to office. The scene of the crime so far for Space Station, and there's the Zoto canister being used again horizontally. Not for the footprints, not for the nitro cell. JV92 has been down. Philippe Hawks with a kill. He knows that there's another playing around it. Nade is in there, but it's all up to Nade now, as both Philippe Hawks and JV92 are bleeding out. At the moment, just a little out of reach. Hot and Cold up, and suddenly Nade can win this. If he can retrieve his teammates, Fultz will sit and wait, as he doesn't have tons of information. JV92 is also retrievable. Boys, this was a 1v1. It's now a 3v1 for W7M. This team has been resurrected. And if you're a believer, you're putting all your faith in Fultz as he turns towards library stairs. One goes down, trophy stairs rather. Fultz now circling around. Diffuser in the hands of Nade. Fultz was spectacular on Cafe. 2 rounds of dominance. He's got pings. Can he complete yet another clutch from behind? Sweeping up with the shotgun. No! Nade shuts him down. W7M win the round.
Bit of a shake there, no?
Oh my.
I mean, he had it. He was looking
That's a long face, Jack.
He had the position, but when it came down to the 1v1, Fultz was shaking a bit there. I think he overcomplicated that massively when he's 1 HP, just full send, full commit.
How have SSG, if we go back from that, how have SSG lost that?
Yeah.
It was a key fight between J9 and I think it was Nade on the Thermite.
Okay,
on the Thermite, they walked in off his door.
Yeah.
Obviously, J9 gets that kill. The other 2 players are downed. But what a round for SSG to lose, and you've got to say it. You've got to call it what it is. That's a big thrown round. Oh, dear. I thought actually Philippox made an incredible play to open this round up. He did end up downed, but he flashed into Piano and then pushed up against the office wall to get the kill into office, and that just unlocked it all.
The fact that Nade walks in, I believe it was Nade who walks in, kills the Azami that was playing by Piano, and there was no response from Spacestation when they're tucked into that little cubby inside of office. Really does surprise me. I wonder if they thought, okay, Forrest is upstairs, we've killed him, we killed the Azami, we don't think there's anybody else in office, don't push it. Let's see if we can net a bigger fish. Walk in and then punish them. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out that way. W7M wins that gunfight, and all of that round could have been stopped in its tracks if SSG had swung maybe a little bit earlier instead of trying to play the waiting game.
I brought forward what would happen if SSG won 2 or 3 attacks in defense in a row in the beginning for W7M. How would they feel about that, knowing they might go home? When SSG, they're the ones in that same position where things are not going their way, and again, they get punished every single time, and they're in the box with Blitz.
Philippox wasting no time whatsoever, 30 seconds in. He spotted over towards Connector, and Fultz very rightly wants to get out of there. He's dead though, so the gambit that they had is not worth it. They try, they fail. They had for but a second map control, and the site control was fleeting.
You do wonder if he'd stayed alive, that panic factor that SSG would have had. Where's the reaction from the teammates to flood in? Because he very clearly got into sight and found a gap easily.
Yeah.
Why are they not following that up?
I was thinking the same thing. Where's the follow-up?
We saw this with KDS in the FaZe SQ match.
Yeah.
Marched up white stairs. He dies immediately, but nobody else is in the same area code. And now you've basically just thrown one player's life away. Philippox had no real follow-up. I don't know if there was a deficiency with W7M's droning that prevented them from gaining further site control. Either way, diffusers in the hands of Nade, so not all hope is lost. And W7M have barged into the bomb site. They get 1 kill, but it's traded out by SSG. Nade has been spectacular. His first death at the hands of J90, and SSG gets on the board with a successful defense of Garage.
I could go in the match replay and watch that round 10 times. I'm not sure I'd be able to explain it to you.
I was gonna say, a round victory is a round victory, but I'm not sure SSG won that round or if W7M, they actually lost it, because it's so puzzling how Blitz is inside. They got a plan, they're gonna, no, it's just Blitz inside.
SSG did a great job of remaining calm after they'd killed the Blitz. Or killing the Blitz, but not running around like headless chickens. Often we've seen Blitz used to that devastating effect where when Blitz is in sight, everyone's like, oh my god, that's Blitz! And they didn't. They got the kill on the Blitz and they just chilled out, held their positions. And this is a big prop for SSG because they waited and waited and waited for the W7M execute, and they chose that for the timing of that's when they would aggress back in and try that retake, and they did it together. So very fair play to SSG. Not sure what W7M's plan was there other than, you know, Pox thinking, right, I'm on the Blitz, I've found a walk into sight, I've got to walk into sight. But yeah, no, good round, and like you say, a round is a round. They shouldn't have lost round 2. They arguably shouldn't have won round 3 had W7M have been on point, but they did get that round win.
Yep. That's the beauty of Siege. They can just happen the way that it does, and SSG, winning a clutch round like that, where you feel so superior, mentally also very rewarding for them, because, you know, they kept getting shut down on the opening duels, they keep dying early, strategically, gunfight-wise, etc. But now, with that clutch, oh guys, we got this, let's go, okay, we go back to bar, we're feeling better, and we keep seeing SSG, despite it not working necessarily, they keep extending around the map, and I like this. They're saying, w7m, you might be winning these gunfights, you might shut us down, but we will not give you the entire map for free, you have to come and get it.
It's been quite a quick pace so far through a lot of these rounds, and here's something that you don't see every day. Fultz is playing in what is a suicide spot for a lot of teams inside a library. Usually you're enabled by Wamai magnets. Usually you don't get droned out because you've got the observation blocker in there. There's no Wamai on the board. So you're playing a dock in this spot. You're just going to be stimming yourself to play suicide. And oh boy, that is a lot of damage that's being done. Fultz is surviving for now.
The second fire.
A single point of HP and he gets out of there alive. It's Forrest to die instead.
I mean, I like that, but is it worth it? 3 stims and you get out for 2 fires? Baby, yeah, but because Forrest dies, it almost feels like they didn't gain anything, even though it happened elsewhere on the map.
Where it could be worth it is if J9 takes a bit of initiative, maybe to try and retake that position using the keeper barriers, and then w7m would find difficulty. Obviously, he is playing the mezzanine at this moment in time, and I've just cast him, will get taken down by KZ.
Right by Chimney, Nick.
First by Parker, now by Jack. It's my turn next, I suppose, to say, no, he's gonna be so nice that. And they keep falling. Ashen as well, good trade back from Fultz, but they gotta keep the aggression up here.
You ever see Final Destination when you're the one who's supposed to die and then it skips you? You said J9O's name and it jumps onto Ashen. He immediately dies because death comes for all of us, Nick.
Yes.
Now w7m firmly in the driver's seat of this round as they look to drive it home. 4v2, rather. Fultz has survived, used all of his utility earlier. We saw him killing time upstairs in library. They'll get droned out. Few drones remaining for w7m. They still got some utility in that Capitao. They've also got the Gemini from Yana. That's going to work quite effectively. Another operator that we don't see much of. Nice read by Philippox as Fultz dies. Fultz has been superb the last little while. Hot and cold, last man standing for SSG, and Philippox kills him. Give it 3-1 first half so far. That's an excellent start for w7m.
Surprising site choice for me, I think, is the biggest one. I said it again, North American teams love this site. Generally, EU teams, Brazilian teams do not because of how effective teams can attack when they go direct. We saw it just there. And I do wonder if they should have gone dining kitchen. They shouldn't have lost that dining kitchen round they had. It was just a miracle, you know, not a miracle play, but it was an unreal play by Philippox and Nade to just win that round for w7m. So the site choice for me is kind of the big one. And yeah, w7m was so good at attacking that all together onto the top floor, getting those kills, and then executing on site. The one thing I will say about Baron Gaming as well is when you're in disadvantage, the only place you can play is stock as a defender. And every attacker knows there's going to be a player stock. It comes down so many rounds on that site.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think where do they go from here? Presumably dining kitchen.
Yeah, because the thing that happens is that when you play these more structured bomb sites where like you really want to play down in your corners, lock it with shields, etc., keep it barriers, you don't get a lot of movement. What often happens is that you get this playstyle that is like start, stop. Like you're driving a car and you brake, and then you go, then you brake, like driving in crazy traffic. And it's really hard as a player to understand what is actually going on, because how players fundamentally work in their head is that they're reading the flow of the game as you would with a regular sports game, as a caster, etc. Like, okay, this is supposed to happen now. For SSG, well, they get shut down early, they lose opening kill. Then w7m, they hit the brakes, nothing happens. SSG, like, they should be hitting us soon, right? No. It's a constant start-stop, it's hard to figure out. SSG, I feel like they're having a difficulty grasping when things are going to be happening because of that as well.
Things have naturally slowed down, Jack, as this first half has gone on. Both teams are quite eager to come to blows in the first, I would say, 30 seconds of the round. But if Spacestation's intent was to knock w7m off of their stride early on, it has not worked. That's the first casualty, though. J9O dies, nobody said his name, so he can't be blamed for that one. As Philippox gets the lead-off pick. Haven't really seen that much so far from Spacestation when it comes to drawing that first blood.
Honestly, I would love to see a Valkyrie here. I know they're playing IQ right now for Hertz, but I feel like intel is missing for Spacestation. They keep dry peeking, thinking, is there a guy here or not? And right now, it's a trading game.
Ashen's still searching for his first kill now. Has to pull out the secondary shotgun, but that thing hits like a wet noodle. So now it's all up to Hot and Cold and Forest. It might not have been early action, but it's been quick after the first minute. We're just hitting the halfway point of this round, and Space Station has been reduced to just 2 players.
Yeah, it's been very frantic, right? And all of the action has happened away from site. If we look at this, w7m is still in their initial phase of trying to take control of top floor.
Yeah, it's just boats that HG. Again, they're fighting for space. They don't want to surrender for free. And this time, again, it goes punished. Wall to side, open up. Forest, Hot and Cold. No C4s in pocket. Nothing but gunplay here. Sure, you get impacts. But right now in this round, not all that important. And w7m, again, that start-stop playstyle. Get the kills in your face. Slow down. Drone. Relax. Get the intel. Use all your util. 1 drone left in pocket. Flash out, smokes, whatever. Then go for plant.
And there goes those smokes, as we talked about. Forest steps up and removes the head of KZ. Another there, but he just cannot out-duel Philippox. And now Hot and Cold will wade through that smoke himself, emerging from the midst. But he can't deal with Philippox either. Excellent play from the support players. Good strategy to completely shroud the bomb site in those smoke grenades. And when you've got the advantage, you use it. w7m are making this one a brisk affair.
They are.
In my opinion, Chalet should be attacker-sided, right? And if we looked at how this game has played out between these two teams, how this fixture has played out, SSG has won based off the back of strategy and utility, whereas w7m have won predominantly off the back of gun skill, playing close together and refragging each other out. Now, the reason that Chalet should be attacker-focused, in my mind at least, is how you can segment the map. Is the fact that you can have piano window / top blue window from that side of the map, or the office balcony window onto the mezzanine. There are so many windows from outside that you can cut off the rotations and then execute onto a particular area of the map, the mini executes as you call them. Yeah. And that's what w7m are good at. And that's also for SSG, where what you can't you can't hide behind utility on this map because of the proximity and how small it is and how you can execute onto a small area of the map. So yeah, I think that's the reason that w7m are currently in the ascendancy. I like the site choice. I like the fact they've now gone down to the basement, because that's probably the best site that you can do that for SSG.
I'd agree. And to build further, on all 3 maps so far, it has been attacker favorite for both teams all the way throughout. So just naturally how these 2 teams play, how they align, it just happens that attackers come out favorite. They both excel at problem solving when they have to, and of course, not always having the biggest grasp on what they need to be doing on defense, perhaps. Because there are these moments where what happened in that round? Usually from the defensive side, not playing their win conditions, but more often than not, attack is where you want to be if you're SSG or w7m.
Nick, you said something earlier in this matchup that I've referenced before, and people might not necessarily understand where we're coming from when we say it, is that sometimes you win a game and sometimes you lose a game. And right now, w7m is absolutely winning, and in this round in particular, with Hot and Cold in full stead. We're not even a minute into action, and there was a big opening that w7m found and exploited. They are doing all of this, while JV92 is yet to find a kill. Ashen hasn't either, and even though he secures that down but not out, it doesn't count. KZ is dead. EMPs are gone. For a downstairs take, this might be particularly damning, but there goes Ashen as well. This is a very familiar set of territories that SSG has played in, as they only have 2 players left, reduced to 1 as it's J90 walking in. He's got some pings on the stairs. Nade is watching that angle. J90 knows that with that barricade still up, he doesn't have to worry about getting pressured from wine door. But what about Blue? There he goes, crossing over to Philippox. And out comes the shotgun. JV92 picking up his very first kill. Ascending. Just as the team is, J90 will get back closer to where the diffuser is being planted. Nade successfully pulls it off, and there's J90 to die right as the objective goes down. What an incredible first half. w7m are 2 rounds away from sending Space Station home.
How do you play against them when they're like this? And I think it's the pacing element of it as well. The fact that they're so fast. Hertz was in sight, and the rest of them are like, right, that's fine. He can be in sight, he can be there, and then we can slow down. And we can keep SSG guessing, and then we can speed it back up to go for the execute. And it's just like that pace change, that understanding. It's It must be so horrible to play against SSG.
Yeah, and it's like the read here from both teams, right? SSG, they want to slow things down. They start playing Tuberao. The second the canister hits the wall to deny it, well, player walks into side from blue staircase. It's like, okay, defensive will slow things down. Attackers, they keep things up. And you said, Parker, you can play to win, you can play to lose. The reason why w7m right now, the team that is playing to win, is because they are initiating all these plays. They are the ones to initiate every single time, saying, we're going to take control, we're going to set the pace, and we are going to control you every step of the way. Whereas SSG, I'm not going to say they play scared, because they certainly are not. But they are the ones they play on side, they'll lose in the roam, they fall back and they overstay. They're not really, like, the clutch plays aren't really happening. I'm not seeing people go for crazy plays from out windows. They are a little bit, I want to say, I don't know. They're not really fighting for it, like, compared to Cafe.
But then, like we said, when they fight for it, they get mowed down.
I know, and that's to your point. Like, how do you play against it?
It comes back to, I think the map doesn't help the fact that they are.
It might be a bit reductive, but there is a reason why w7m has made the finals of all of the last 3 events. There's a reason why, after SI, I didn't really doubt this team at Copenhagen, and I didn't really doubt them at Atlanta either. Like, it looked like it was a done deal. Like, the script has been written. w7m is going to win. And when they play lights out like this, there's no team in the world that can handle them.
No, you're right. I mean, to my own point, I couldn't even explain it, right? It's like, what do you do? I don't know either. You're looking at this like, hey, HD, they're doing the right things, but they're down 1-5 right now. Now they're in attack. Now they get to really change things around. It's a new half. You got a problem to solve. You bring your favorite attackers that you want. Munchie's so been, Blitz is so been, but Ying is banned by your own team. As is the Dokkaebi. Those calls can help you in the battle when you start roam clearing out these roamers. And SSD, they're walking the map right now.
And JV92 is running the dock on what could be a similar setup, but no. He's playing on those library stairs, not suicide inside of library itself. And though there's a bunch of Kiba barriers there, there's not as heavy an investment from w7m to hold that part of the map.
Attackers dropped the diffuser.
This is what I was talking about with the way North America attacks this site, by the way. Generally, is look how slow things have been. They're clearing out the full map, starting solo, working all the way across. The big problem with doing this, by the way, is the time that can be taken, and Philippox might have a freebie here, because they still don't know he's there, because the barricade is up. Oh, I'll make my point in a second.
Oh, you called it, clear as day.
They run out of time because they take so long to take control, and they run out of time and then face utility and face people that are not on site or on the top floor.
It's been a heater so far, but this matchup is starting to fizzle out a little bit, which to fans of the Brazilian team are delighted to watch. For fans of Spacestation and people who just want a good matchup, well, maps 1 and 2 certainly lived up to the billing.
When Hot and Cold gets around here, a plant is actually on. Library's clear, Forest is inside. They just need the cover from the double window. This round could still be recoverable.
They could steal it, yeah, you're right.
And there's the diffuser going down in the hands of Forest. Flashbangs go out. The next set of engagements will be so important, but Nade is ice cold. Fultz is outside of the upstairs window with the diffuser in the Viper's den underneath you. And what are you going to pull off? I mean, Philippox thought he had something. He returns to where he got the very first kill in this round, but he's not going to repeat that process. Fultz finds 4 players from w7m that are just going to wait out the clock before KZ takes the engagement. Series point for w7m. We've only been in this map for like 30 minutes, and it's almost over.
Jack, you're right. What do you do? Because you had the read, SSG had the read, they did the right thing again, but then the plant cover's there, just, you know, the head sticking above the window edge. It's hard to hit that shot, but Nade does it. And if it's not Nade, then it's Casey, or it's Hurts, or it's Davey, or it's Philippox.
If Hall wins that fight, it could be a different story.
It could be.
But oh my God, when that comes down to who wins the gunfight out of SSG and w7m, time and time again, it leans towards w7m. Oh, they've got to win every round from here.
Yeah.
Oh, they're out.
They got to go clean. Now, I don't want to count them out, but I will say to preface this, losing here for SSG would not be a bad look. They have done well at this event. Of course, you always want to go for more, you want to go further, etc., etc. But I'm not sure what people realistically expected from the masses going into this. I think they're a big dark horse. Like, they can go up against really good teams, and they did battle very well in the previous 2 maps up here against w7m. But right now, they're falling a bit flat.
They say never do math on a broadcast, but quick math for the kill counts. It's 33 to 19 kills at the moment, which is much closer than honestly you think, given the fact that it's a 6-1 scoreline. SSG are still getting picks and are still fighting back.
Yeah.
They're just falling short. You had a point you wanted to make, Jack. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I do not remember. I got so engrossed in your point and thought, damn, Parker, you're actually right.
It is a good point.
Now, there was a
that's how I feel.
There was a timeout called by SSG, and I was actually going to comment on this before we swapped sides. You can call a timeout in your very final defense, which SSG would have done.
Yeah.
But do you focus on that round, or do you speak to the next half? Because if you call that timeout and then you go on to attack, you're not going to be able to address the setup that the defenders have. Yeah. Now you've gotten a look at how w7m is going to defend on this map, but you've only had 1 round to do that, and you could potentially only have 1 round left to fix this. It's a huge gamble, and it sucks for Spacestation because they had no other choice outside of potentially calling the timeout when they were down 3-1 and saying, okay, let's use this timeout to fix defense and then go to attack. Obviously wasn't the case. Call-out calls it when he does, and you've got no room for error whatsoever.
Yeah. But also, if you call out, if you're the coach of Space Station, I don't fault you for not calling it sooner, because again, such small things not going away, actually playing their game, and like arguably half the round should have worked. The outcome should have been different. It just wasn't. So if you're called out, you're probably hearing the play comes thinking, these guys know what it takes. They just can't quite get it home. But yeah, you don't get that second round on defense. Now it's 1-6, and this could be the final round for Space Station. They gotta show up.
Kind of liking this from SSG. Drone simulator, Brava, Flores, and Twitch, and 10 drones. And I think that's good. Slow it down. Stay together. Get the utility that you can get using the drones without giving your lives.
And I really liked what we got to see from Forest application of the clutch. You take care of the Banshee that's out on balcony. Now you don't have somebody who knows that there's an advance coming from that position. You have to actively check it. You're not relying on a gadget to do the work for you. The bulletproof camera inside of kitchen also means that you're not going to see through any smokes if there are some that are thrown. Now, there's 1 smoke remaining for Forest, 1 smoke remaining for Houghton. So there's an opportunity there for you to punish w7m. It's small things like that that make a huge difference in this match.
They're sending it. I mean, kind of. Houghton will get shut down for long, far away, but the trades are going back and forth. Still a 4v4.
J9O will equalize. Herds is gone. Herds has been a huge threat so far for w7m. JV92, KZ, and Herds have all broken 200 kills at this event in this series. And that is spectacular. Of course, they're aided by the fact that they've played so many maps. 21 maps played by w7m, but you're going to have to play more to make it all the way to the finals. And more rounds to be played as well, unless you manage to beat the odds, because w7m is on the wrong side of a 4v3.
Time, though. This is not the upstairs warm-up, by the way. It's kitchen dining, so you got a clear top, walk downstairs, but they're playing backwards right now.
No!
They're attacking up!
That's called the Assassin's Creed, baby. Pounce on them from above, but the blades fail you this time. KZ is simply another level at the moment.
No cams.
No cams, no intel. That bulletproof cam was taken early on. A lot of noise being made from KZ, who can't spot Forest planting the diffuser down below. He's still playing around the case. The timer will be a great adversary. But as he heads down the trophy stairs, there's a long angle being held by Ashen. An easy pickoff for SSG, and that's only their 2nd round so far.
That was his first kill.
I was going to say, yeah.
But what he did in that round won them the round. So SSG are trying to take control of the top floor. Now, normally when that happens, teams on the defense like to layer off, and they like to drop back down the hatch or go back down Solarium Stairs into Trophy and back to site and go from there. Ashen managed to lurk his way into Trophy in a 4v4, I believe it was, and he's on the Trophy Stairs. And because of that, because he had Trophy Stairs control and the hatch control, w7m had no option but to stay and fight, and SSG had too many breaches, too many angles open. Incredible.
You know, I was going to make the same point where it was funny because the attackers technically had side control, but recognized they cannot plant right now with all the verticality, so they're gonna walk up the staircase, find a pick, land forward through the flank, then go back to side. And as you said, Ashen guy's first kill, he's in the server, he's on the scoreboard now. Finally, it's a quote-unquote 5 versus 5 matchup.
Just a funny little thing to say here, and spoilers are, of course, inbound. So if you don't want the match happening on the B stream to be spoiled, just shut off your ears for a second.
Okay.
We were finished our first map
5 seconds left before
while VPDZ was going. We finished map 1 of this series, and their matchup was still going. Now, G2 are up 5-0 on map 2, up 1 map already. And it is entirely possible that despite us starting, while they were still in their first match, their second match on the B stream will end before ours will.
Speedrunning.
G2 only needs 2 more rounds to send the Aussies home. And if w7m prevail here and G2 prevail on the other stream, we will have 2 NA, 2 Europe, 2 Brazil left as the final 6.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. I'm not against that on my side. Honestly, representation matters. While it's sad there's no APAC teams and meta teams, you know, here, that's the case. At the same time, things are the same.
I think you might be writing off Bliss a little bit too early. I mean, take it easy.
If. It's not done yet, Nick. SSG can still come through.
Every drone is gone. Look at that. There you go. All gone. Well, w7m have SSG up against the wall at the moment. Backs to the wall. Impact's going out as KZ tries to keep that main garage door closed. Forrest will now go after the wine door. As there goes the smoke, but he takes the diffuser somewhere else. So maybe he's just trying to bait this w7m team in.
Might be the angle. Again, the drone intel here, Ashen. If you can't find the score or kills, use utility instead. Did it last round, doing it here as well. The Florist, destroying those Maestro cameras, the Evil Eyes. Again, intel deny. But what could be the round-winning operator right now might be false on Nook, actually, that might go for a lurk play.
SSG have so much map control for a minute 30 at the time that they had it. All breaches open and pressure onto site with a minute to go.
If Ashen can wake up, things can get a little scary for w7m, especially if we go to the fact that you believe this is an attacker-sided map. Now it's the Nook of Fultz, maybe exposing a bit too much of himself to KZ here. Hot and Cold eliminates Philippe Hawks. Suddenly, JV92 gets a pick, kills himself. It's all up to Nade. Playing a tight angle in blue with the M870 in hand. CZ75 goes, but the jig is up. They know exactly where he is. One time, one way, you gotta fight the Nook, the other, you gotta fight a smoke. Now the Nook is repositioned. He's outdueled by Ashen, who you said won the previous round. Hard to argue against his impact on this round as well.
Yeah, it was great. It was great again from SSG. Take your time, take what they're giving you for free, get the breaches off, step by step, strategic-based siege, and that's what they're really good at. I said that the defense might not suit them, but the attack certainly does.
This makes you wish they had gotten just 1 or 2 more defensive rounds, because all of a sudden
kitchen that they lost.
Exactly. Yeah. Because all of a sudden this would have been such a close series with how these rounds are turning out. Last 2 rounds versus G, they've gotten the opening pick and the plant down successfully, and with that also the round victory. But the issue that is always the match point is that you might start playing more passive, where when you have this opportunity, this high-risk chance, like you rush in a door, go for a swing, you shouldn't do it, but if you do it, you're the hero. Well, if it might cost you the entire series, if you lose out, are you gonna go for it? And honestly, I think they will, because of how they're playing right now versus G. Ashen has gotten some kills on the board as well. He's finally feeling it. So because of these things going, you see, they're 1 round at a time, boys. 1 round at a time. I think they would go for that play, despite the circumstances.
You didn't want to repeat that word for word.
No, there was a word I was skipping out on there.
No, I think that's exactly what you got to do when you're like, 1-6 down on match point?
Yeah.
And you've got to try and just force a comeback. You've got to just focus on 1 round at a time and how you beat the team in that round, because if you don't, it's over. Simple as that.
No, it really is that simple. Now, on the other side, though, w7m, 1 clutch, 1 good spawn peak can really sway the numbers. So you're always playing this fine line. Going too fast, you get killed early for SSG. Going too slow, time becomes an issue. And w7m, you spoke about this before the match started, they innovated how you play Chalet. And this setup right here is kind of what this is. Master bedroom, you're thinking double wall reinforcement, bandit tricking, playing passive side. No.
Aggressive.
Shield piano hallway, open up long lines of sight, play zoom scopes, got the shield there, office wall is soft and opened up, there's a rotate. Like, this is them playing from bomb side, but they can see a cross into library, meaning they're gonna force you to either fight it head on, which does not seem very fun, or they will redirect your attack to a trophy solarium, knowing you're gonna go for it.
Just a couple rounds ago, when we referenced the kills, it was 33 to, what is it, 19? I believe it was, I can't recall. But either way, what we're looking at right now is a score that is starting to even. 38 kills on the side of W7M, 27 for Spacestation. Again, a deceptively closer match than I think the score line will suggest. And if you're W7M and you've only got 5 kills over the last 2 rounds, that's not great for a team that has all of these offensive threats. Even if it means that JV92 has woken up, the other side of the coin is that Ashen has woken up. And that is a scary predicament because Ashen can demolish his opponents at an international level despite his relative inexperience. If he can keep his head and, most importantly, his body in the server, then that's going to be a worrying sign for W7M.
Really like this approach from SSG here.
Yeah.
They've seen the library extension. They're deciding to go for Solarium take. The big stop for that is Philippox inside of Dining Kitchen. They've dealt with him now, and they can absolutely now execute their Solarium take up the stairs and through the windows.
And there's Ashen picking up yet another kill now. All 5 of his kills coming in the last 3 rounds. And it's SSG sitting at a 5v3. We hit the halfway point of this round. Good pacing so far from Space Station.
Have they baited the Solarium take now? And they're now going to library because all of the defenders are rotating? I think they have.
That is genius. If that's, yeah, there we go. 2 people on that side. This is genius. Like, this is again SSG, like on Cafe, outstretching w7m, reading the pace.
And SSG droned that in really quickly. Ashen getting in fast to take advantage of that information, and more importantly, advantage of the change that W7M made. Now, JV92 might have an information on this. He does. He picks off Ashen. So even though W7M have moved their chips elsewhere, JV92 is just too good in this spot. He might have had a slow start to Chalet, but you can never doubt these players. Herds eliminating Forest. Now Hot and Cold is gone as well. It's J90 last alive to tussle with KZ. But W7M prove that they are the real deal. They won 2 majors in a row. They want the hammer, and they are still alive on home soil.
How do you beat them? They seemingly don't have a weakness. Even when they strategically, they do not look like they're going to win a round. Up pops Herds, up pops KZ, up pops JV92.
I was gonna say, I mean, that was such a good round from Space Station, yet they lose it.
Heartbreak, as it felt like a comeback was brewing, and Space Station could have potentially sent us to overtime if they'd just been a little bit sharper. But the problem, as you noted, was they gave up too many rounds on that first half, and the mountain to scale was just a bit too steep. If you backslide even a little bit, you might as well fall right off, and that's what happened with Space Station. All things considered, it has been a really impressive run for this SSG team, and every single team that's played W7M along the way has given us a great showing, win or lose, but this team often looks unbeatable at W7M, and today they were, in fact, unbeatable.
There is absolutely no shame at all for SSG in losing to the team that's won both major international events this year. Another day, or even another opponent, SSG are going through today.
Yeah, exactly. Also, the map, you go from Clubhouse to Cafe and then to Chalet. They play out very differently. Club Cafe, more like strategical, problem-solving. Chalet, it gets a little bit more chaotic, and that's what W7M, they shine. We saw it in the last round. SSG get opening pick, things look so solid. They outread, they out-rotate, but then JV, chaotic, swings out of rotate and just gets 2 kills.
You had everything in the palm of your hands, and it just goes right through. That's it for the 3 of us, and that's it for Stream A's matches. But an exciting desk lays ahead of us.
Yes, thank you very much, guys. Brazilian fans, rejoice. Another one of your teams will be there this weekend on the main stage in the form of 2-time major back-to-back champions, W7M. Philippox joins us now. Philippox, you must be feeling incredible relief right now.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure going on this tournament. I think that affected the Brazilian teams a little, and we tried our best to the pressure not affect us today. But I think it got us a little in Café. But I'm glad we could reset and go to Chalet and play our game.
I know that when you play Siege in particular, you play your own way. You don't change for anybody. When you're thinking about playing for your home country and the fact that not many teams were making it through, was any of this for the fans who've bought tickets?
Of course, I like to see a lot of fans that told me that they bought tickets and want to be there. My family too, I bought tickets for them. I want them to be there and see me, watch me, and a lot of friends too. So that's a dream for every Brazilian to play in front of the home crowd because we don't have a lot of tournaments here. So yeah, that's it.
You know, I look at you, I look at your team. You know, I was there, I witnessed you win a couple of majors this year, and I feel like you're not used to losing. And you've been entering this tournament and lost a few maps, even a few matches, and you're here.
Yeah.
What are the key takeaways for you at this SI? Because losing is learning.
Yeah, I think we learned a lot with our losses. In Major Atlanta, we lost to GK in the first game, and that helped us a lot. So I think we are a team that learns a lot of our losses. And this tournament, it was the same. Losing to Virtus Pro first, and then losing to Wolves, we knew that we have a lot of problems in our game. Like we are not in the best shape that we were like in the last two majors. So we are trying our best to like improve and improve the things we are struggling. We are getting better in the attacks mainly, so I think that's it.
This is where you feel like you have the most room for improvement right now, attacks, and specifically, would it be like tactics, late round execute, or what are the areas of improvement in attacks for you right now?
Yeah, we were throwing a lot of rounds, and that was like taking the confidence away from us and giving to the opponent. So I think that's a thing from the attacks, and also like the meta changed a little bit, and maybe we were like behind other teams, and we learned with them. So yeah, we're improving.
And you personally, as an in-game leader, how do you adapt to the current meta? How do you feel like it's utility based? Do you think it's frag heavy? Like, what are the changes for you as an in-game leader now that the meta is changing?
I think it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
That's why it's kind of hard, because a team can play like Tubarão and Kite, and then you are like you have to or you don't open the wall, or like you have to like get 4 operators just to open a wall, and then they can play like Solis and Valk and like get a lot of drones and like play Intel. There's a lot of ways for the defense to play, and that's the struggle for us.
You know, I can give you a lot of praise for this because I was an EM leader myself, not as successful as you though, and I just want to give you praise because I could see you play really fast-paced, slow-paced, cool execute, cool slow things, and I know how much it is, you know, to have that strategic depth. And you know, I want to praise you for this because you know it's amazing to see.
Thank you very much.
We've talked a lot here about learnings. One thing we've learned about yourself and your team is that you perform very well in front of a live crowd. We saw that in Copenhagen. We saw that in Atlanta as well. Do you think that despite some of the fumbles here, once you get in front of that crowd, especially the fact that it's a Brazilian crowd, you'll find that next gear?
Yeah, I think qualifying to play in front of the home crowd took a little bit of the pressure from us, and now hopefully we're just playing our game without pressure, and with our family watching, our friends watching, and the fans watching. So I think that's going to be amazing.
You want to give a shout out to your fans before I let you go?
Yeah, in Portuguese.
For sure.
Yeah.
Obrigado a todo mundo aí que sempre apoia. Agora finalmente classificamos aí para jogar no Ibirapuera. Todo mundo que comprou ingresso para ver a gente lá, vocês vão ter ótimos jogos. Agora a gente tá pela Lure, então a gente vai ter muito jogo aí. E é isso, obrigado a todo mundo que tá sempre apoiando e tamo junto, Go Bulls.
Just before I go, if I say this to the crowd this weekend, vamos façam barulho, what will happen?
Façam barulho, they will make some noise.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, Philippe Hawks, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we'll see you on the main stage.
Thank you.
All right, good stuff. Well, now listen, with every, a lower bracket result like this, Alfama, there is heartbreak that comes with it. Yes, W7M, they progress. And sadly for SSG, they do not. And, it was a tough last map for them.
Yeah, and I think overall they can be super proud of what they've achieved so far. I think throughout the year they've progressed so much. They had such a legacy rebuilding their roster because they had to rebuild everything in 2023. They regrouped around the Astralis core. Colot came in as a coach and threw in his own vision of the game. And I think, seeing them coming here, I think that's top eight at SI. It's still a really, really good result when you see how far they come from.
Yeah, you can't be upset if you're SSG. They showed a lot of promise, and especially in that game, we saw a lot of different looks from SSG. We saw them being able to slow it down and stall out, and then on a dime, just switch up the tempo and the way that they play aggressively. Unfortunately, when it came down to Chalet, it really just looked like W7's game the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, Alfama, it was just a masterclass on how to play Chalet, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. You look at these rounds, like every example of here, like Fulls actually clutched this almost, but other than that, the amount of opening kills that w7m was getting from outside the map was crazy, and I think that's the biggest thing, is that Spacestation kept getting punished by the aggression of w7m, and I don't know how they consistently found these picks. I'm thinking sometimes they should just maybe just regrouped and try to target one of the attackers to try and gain the upper hand. One thing that was clear, though, that w7m was in constant control of the pace.
No matter what SSG tried to do, they were getting picked off from the windows. Even though when they were trying to turtle up and really force w7m to get into the map, they still were losing picks. And I don't want to say that's necessarily SSG's fault. I think w7m really is just that good as Chalet. They know how to position themselves. They know how to make the enemy team move into positions where they're able to be spotted from the windows, especially with the utility that w7m uses and how aggressively they can just jump in the map at any moment from any side. It puts a lot of fear on the enemy team that they're playing, and today the fear was in SSG's hearts.
All right, well, staying with w7m here, are you worried about them at all? You spoke to Philippox there about, you know, the history in this tournament from the group stages to now, and some of the, you know, the play style we saw displayed there. Have you got any reason to be concerned about them going into the next phase?
Yeah, so first thing first, like, we're talking a lot about the pressure, right? And it's clear, he said it himself, they do have the pressure. And, you know, you look at w7m right now, he said it himself, they're not at the best shape, in their best shape right now. I think what was clearly missing, and that's one thing he was saying, is that you know how the game right now has evolved into a state where there are so many pathways you can take to win a map in attack, especially. So many different ways to do it. Either you group, either you spread, are you going fast, are you going slow? All of these things make it hard for in-game leaders to take the whole team together and follow up a certain plan, and that's something that I think I find them a little bit weak on. And if you look at the other Brazilian team that's qualified at the main state of SI phase, I feel like they're just slightly under them in terms of fragging potential, but in terms of strategy and team play, they're that much better. So right now, I would say that they're not the favorite coming into winning SI.
Which is shocking, really, considering their recent form.
Yeah, when it comes to the IGL and capabilities, we saw a lot of it. Obviously, there wasn't that many rounds that w7m ended up losing on Chalet, but the rounds that they did lose, it was when they weren't able to get a substantial grasp of the ground off of an opening pick. When they were able to get into maybe library side or maybe into games and they only got one pick or they didn't get too much ground to hold, they weren't able to go farther than that. Obviously, it only happened the first 2 rounds on attack, and then they responded very well to it, but that is something that teams will see, notice, and when it comes to main stage, they'll be able to exploit.
Yeah, I just follow up on this. Like, if you want to have a little bit of theory of Siege, you have in attack 3 different splits, right? Early round, middle of the round, late round execute. And if you look at w7m right now, if they don't get the opening pick in the early round, they really struggle to actually come up and have the execute set up and win that, because I think strategically still, that's their weakness.
All right, we're looking ahead, but let's just look back briefly at our intel play of the game. It was the Hetz 3K Fox, and this was a masterful play.
I mean, this is where the utility we were talking about. They used the nade to be able to push players into the positions that they want. I mean, some nice shots to just back it up. At the end of the day, SSG wasn't able to respond or have the utility denial to stop them from getting moved. But I mean, when you have shots and everyone are shooting as well as Herds was in that clip, it just needs a little bit of a push to push the enemy team into your direction.
That was one more example of like SSG trying to play off the utility to getting the upper end in the gunfights they were taking. You look at this, like Herds is swinging against 2 Azamis and a shield, and SSGs are just swinging behind them and getting instantly punished. You're like, what does it take to win a gunfight against the guy? Like, you're literally fully set up to punish him, and you still can't do it.
All right, let's take a look now at the Elim bracket, as this thing has just flown by, hasn't it? The playoffs are almost done and dusted. We, of course, still have a game ongoing in the lower bracket on Stream B. But here we are, Fox.
We're seeing a good amount of representation from every region. I mean, Bliss making this far, I think nobody was necessarily expecting them. They also looked very strong on that first map against G2, but as you can see, G2 was able to take that first one, and they're still currently playing on that second map.
And you look at the bracket right now, that's what we are saying. You have 2 NA teams, 2 Brazilian teams, 2 European teams.
Yeah.
And I love it. And it's all like old organizations that have been here in Rainbow Six for so long that, you know, deserve somewhat this world champion title. And so many different playstyles. You've got Dark Zero VP, such, you know, slow, theoretical. You've got w7m throwing fragging power into this.
Yeah.
You've got FaZe that's super adaptative.
It's got it all. It's
got it all.
It's a melting pot of everything.
Absolutely crazy.
Do you know what else it's got? I've just been told. It's got the world champions as well, because G2 have just completed their win over Bliss. So the world champions will be in the arena to defend their hammer, which, you know, commiserations to Bliss. They've put on one hell of a run as well. The Australians will be devastated, especially the ones on our talent team as well. But Fox, it's a good thing to have G2 in the mix, of course, because it's always nice to be able to defend your trophy.
It is nice. I also think the next matchup between G2 and DZ is going to be nice because not only is G2 defending that trophy, but Canadian is hunting for another trophy. I mean, the guy's done it time and time again. So it'll be a nice little parallel to see them two go up against each other.
Alfama, TBD versus TBD in that grand final. Have you got the cojones to put it on the line right here, right now, and name which teams are going to sit in that?
All right, first one for me is obvious. FaZe is winning against Virtus.pro, and they should be in the grand final because I wanted, for the beauty of Siege, for FaZe, a Brazilian team, to be at the grand final. They deserve it. They've been there for so long. And I think, again, I will say this, I think that they're the best looking team right now at this SI. Now, for the rest, honestly, it could be anyone. I would love a FaZe G2. I think a rematch, you know, we've seen one already, and it was such a good game. I want to see that as a grand final, BO5.
Fox, what are you saying?
I have to agree with the FaZe comment. I think they've looked like the most consistent team to play both styles of Siege right now. And for the other side, I'll go with the opposite. I think Dark Zero could get that little bit of an edge.
That NA bias.
I mean, EU bias.
EU bias as well for
G2. I mean, it's only fair. I got to defend the one remaining NA team. Oh, wait, no, Sonics is still there too.
Yeah.
Oh,
you forgot that.
I forgot about that.
That tells a lot about your opinion about Sonics.
They've been looking pretty good, but I think DZ is the most consistent NA team right now.
All right, guys, Fox, it's been an amazing pleasure for me being on the desk with you for the first time. We ran it back a little bit. We've done some EUL stuff. So, guys, you've got a good day's rest tomorrow before it all kicks off again at the Ginásio do Ibirapuera. If I said that wrong, don't at me. I'm trying to learn, ready for the big weekend that is up and coming, sold out here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Friday, we kick it all off. You do not want to miss it. Who will raise the hammer in 2024? See you there.